Hey everybody, welcome back to Sunday Afternoon Smokes, your casual conversation podcast from the upstate of South Carolina. My name is Chris. I'm your host. I'm a realtor. I'm also the operator and owner of the Cigar Box, a mobile cigar bar that serves the upstate of South Carolina and beyond. Most of these episodes are enjoyed over a cigar while I interview the local entrepreneurs, business professionals, and entertainers in our local counties. And so I hope you get to sit back, light a cigar, and enjoy the show. Today, I'm sitting down with Kevin Dobbins. And Kevin, I like to let my guests introduce themselves. So take a minute, say as much or as little bit about yourself as you like.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Chris, man. I really appreciate you having me on, first and foremost. My name's Kevin Dobbins, of course. I'm a mortgage lender with Homeside Financial, a Greenville native of almost 3 decades, so got to see everything that Greenville has become, and you know, I know your show's based around the Greenville area and everything that it is, so it's really cool to be a part of this community and watch it grow and be a part of that growth and whatnot. I'm a husband, I'm a father to an awesome little boy, 3 years old, Elijah James, we call him EJ, and I enjoy, you know, playing baseball, growing up. Still enjoy watching it. My son is playing on his first T-ball team this year.
Nice.
So yeah, man, just a family guy. Enjoy, you know, the quality of life rather than the hustle and the bustle of it, and happen to become a mortgage lender in the process of doing it.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, well, we will get into all of that. And sadly, the weather is inclement today. We were lined up. We were going to smoke. You know, I really hadn't picked it out, but I know you said you wanted something maybe kind of light and mild, medium. But it was pouring this morning.
Yeah.
And there's more scheduled, right? I checked the radar before you got here, and it showed clear from like 1 to 4, and the other things started creeping in. But all this podcast equipment, you know, and it's not an easy tear down. And I just didn't want to get caught out there. I thought about gambling on it, but
yeah.
I don't want my equipment to get ruined, and then I have to spend more money.
Oh yeah, in this area, you never know, man. I mean, stuff pop up out of nowhere. So yeah, I definitely understand.
So we're sitting in the living room of my house, and we're drinking coffee for now. We'll probably about halfway through, we'll switch to something a little more adult oriented and have ourselves a nice time. But before we get going, Kevin, if you've got questions about cigars or tobacco, just go ahead and jump in anytime, because I love talking about both of those on the show. So we're not smoking, we're sitting in here, but you can we've met a couple of times through our mutual friend Keith Bowling.
Right. And
Keith he's a great guy. I've kind of turned him into a cigar monster. But he knew you, does a fair amount of business with you at Homeside Financial on the real estate side. And so that's how you and I got connected. But if memory serves me correctly, from what I remember, you would be just kind of a casual cigar smoker than a regular.
I think rookie would be the word that would
that's a good baseball term.
That would best describe it for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, to be completely transparent, I think I have smoked probably less than 10 cigars in my life.
Oh, you're in single A.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've been scouted yet.
You're in high school ball.
Exactly. I'm on JV. But yeah, no, and you know, it's all been celebratory or ceremonial smokes, you know, nothing.
Wedding.
I guess I haven't really went out of my way to.
Yeah, just a party, a birthday, a whatever.
Right, exactly. And honestly, I think it's nothing against it by any means. It's more of a lack of understanding and appreciation of it, you know.
I can be dangerous, man.
Yeah, so I'm going to tread lightly.
Yeah, not that you need expensive hobbies.
Yes.
Especially with a 3-year-old runner. So do you have more kids planned?
What's that?
Do you have more children planned?
Yeah. So just my 3-year-old. That's my son. Some of his friends from like daycare and everything, they're going to be on the team. So I'm going to be the head coach of a 3-year-old.
Well, I meant when I said more children planned between you and your wife.
That's
what
sorry.
I meant.
Sorry, I thought you meant.
No. Because when I said you don't need more expensive hobbies, you've got a 3-year-old. If you got more coming,
right? Yeah. No, they're definitely in the cards as far as timing. I have no idea. We'll still it's an ongoing conversation. You know how that goes, but yeah, no, definitely don't need to be wasting any money and picking up something that I
It's
really
not
enjoy.
waste.
So I know, you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely in the rookie stages of it, and it's all been, just from a lack of understanding for the appreciation. Like I wouldn't appreciate, like my brother loves oysters, for instance. Like he's a big oyster guy. And listen, I like oysters.
They're okay.
I like eating oysters,
Sure.
even raw, fried, whatever. But my brother, he can tell you by the taste of it, man, this is from this region of this place. And,
Okay.
and
He's
I'm like,
hardcore.
man, this is pretty intense.
Is it briny? Is it fresh?
Right.
Is it,
right.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
stuff.
it tastes like an oyster to me. But
Sure.
But yeah, so I guess it's just more of a, I have my thing and everybody has their thing, but definitely something I wouldn't mind learning more about to get a better appreciation of, for sure.
Yeah, sure. I mean, oysters, and with my cigar business, oyster roasts are a place where I can be found.
Sure.
And so, I mean, there's oysters, there's beer, there's cigars. It just all kind of runs really well together. I've eaten them, the steamed or however they cook them. Is it steamed?
Yeah, steamed.
Yeah, steamed.
Yeah.
But they're okay. It's not my favorite thing in the world. And I'm usually not just a straight up. Give me a saltine and maybe some Frank's Red Hot or something. Oysters, Rockefeller, however.
Oh man, see that's
I'll
way to go.
Yeah.
This is my brother. He'll tell you he enjoys that, but he'll tell you that's cheating. And I'm like,
so
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, no, it's definitely a specialty taste for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, you're definitely, like you said, you're in the noob stage when it comes, and that's totally fine. I mean, everybody starts there,
Right.
That's where I started. I just started with a pipe and graduated to. No offense to pipe smokers, but graduated from, and I still smoke my pipe from time to time, but went from pipes to cigars. Pipe of much more economical, much easier on the pocketbook, because you can pick up a tin or a bag of pipe tobacco for $10, $12, and you'll get like,
is that a quality tobacco at that price?
Yeah, absolutely, and you'll get I don't know, 15, 20, 25 smokes out of it.
Okay.
Versus you throw down $12 on a cigar and it's a one and done.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but the problem with the pipes though is some guys get this real like drive, and then before you know it, you have like 30 different pipes.
Right.
And they're pipe collectors, and that gets expensive.
Sure.
But some guys are real like methodical about it and rotate through their pipes and smoke and smoke and smoke. But I just, in pipe smoking is a little bit more of an art form. When it comes to a cigar, you cut it, and there's various ways to cut it. There's a V cut, there's a guillotine cut, there's a punch cut, there's what's called a crown cut, or maybe a cross cut.
Do you have a preference of one of those?
I like punch cuts. A punch cut is where you use
just the little
circular blade, and you punch out just a little hole in the back, and you get. A guillotine cuts a nice cross section off.
It's like a little pair of scissors in the middle
right.
of the circle. Okay.
Yeah, and so you cut just a flat cross section off the back of the cigar. And it's fine. It gives you the broadest draw. But it also, at the very beginning, there's little, bits and pieces of tobacco that wind up in your mouth. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
You spit them out. But the punch, you don't get that. It's just clean. The draw can be a little more restricted, and I find usually about 3/4 of the way through, near the end, you can get some just a lot of the tar and the oils in that tobacco will build up because the opening is so small, and things can get kind of tight.
Sure.
Not always, but sometimes. And whenever I get to that stage, I'll bust out the guillotine, cut it, and open it up.
Now, when that happens, does that have anything to do with how heavy or light, or it doesn't have to do much with the leaf at all? Or
it doesn't have to do with the flavor profile. It just has to do with the amount of sugars and oils that are in the tobacco leaf.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're taking, on a punch cut, you're taking all of that smoke and everything it's carrying through the smallest opening possible.
Makes sense.
And so things they can kind of coagulate there at the end over time. And so if I take a guillotine and I just kind of lop it off, then things will open back up. It doesn't always happen. And it just depends on each individual cigar.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, a V-cut is the same process as a guillotine. It's still like the scissors kind of an idea.
Okay.
But it cuts a V-shaped notch. It cuts a little valley in the head of the cigar. And that's like a really nice blend between a guillotine and a punch.
Okay.
So it offers you, it's usually like 99% of the time very clean, like a punch cut, but it gives you a broader draw like a guillotine cut. So it
wouldn't be as, I don't know if this is the right word, harsh of an influx of smoke, would you say, as you would with the punch cut?
Well, I don't even know if I would describe it as harsh. I just mean it gives you a broader opening, so it's nice airflow.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you have the benefit of the guillotine cut without a lot of the fragments that you get from a guillotine cut, which you get on a punch.
Sure.
So it's a happy marriage between those two, in my opinion.
Okay.
For what that's worth.
Sure.
More
than mine on this, for sure.
Sure. And I can remember my very early days of smoking a cigar, and to be completely transparent, I didn't even really like the cigar that much.
That's fair.
Yeah, what I liked was kind of the environment that it put me in, that headspace that just seems to kind of to sit down, relax, an opportunity to just kind of think, be kind of philosophical. That's the headspace it puts me in whenever I'm smoking a cigar. And also, because the last guest I had on, Andrew Rodriguez from Blue Ridge Cabinet and Design, he was saying he is 100% a social smoker. He's on the golf course. He's playing poker with friends. He's, he would never just smoke a cigar by himself.
Yeah.
Which I do all the time.
Sure.
But I find, for me personally, I like to sit down when I've got show notes to write for my podcast. I've got real estate emails to send. I've got bookings and events that I'm trying to do for the cigar business. Sit down on the patio, light a cigar, break out the computer, and it's like just kind of helps me be in work mode.
Yeah. I get that.
That's just me.
I think for most people, especially me, I mean, just the limited times I've had experience with it, it's always had a way of heightening the experience of whatever I'm doing. So your buddy being a social smoker, I totally get that. Every time that I have smoked, it's been with other people. It's been, most of the time cigars that I have not bought myself. And it's more of a, like I said, celebratory or ceremonial type smoke, which, it kind of puts you in that certain element,
Yeah.
So can totally appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah. And that's really kind of like that is what I want the appeal of my cigar business to be. It is an elevation of whatever it is you happen to be doing, where you want to have cigars, whether that is, they just make everything better. Like if you're with, who'd you say, is it your brother-in-law or brother that's the big oyster guy?
My brother.
Your brother. Yeah. Okay. So is he a cigar smoker?
He does. He's I wouldn't call him an advocate by any means, but
sure.
He partakes way more than I would.
Sure. So if you and your brother wind up at an oyster roast, right, and you're there and you're just enjoying the people, you're enjoying the atmosphere, you're enjoying the oysters and the beer and or whatever they've got available, it's a great time. You throw in the cigar box, this mobile cigar business. Well, this whole event just took a step up.
Yeah, we're at the next level now.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
You're at the next level. So whether you're having an oyster roast, and I mean, of course, I'm pretty much doing my ad here almost, but it's whether it's an oyster roast, a golf tournament, because golf and cigars is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
A wedding. I've got coming up next month. There's a guy that I think his company is celebrating. I don't remember what anniversary. I think was it 30 years or something. It's a big 30-year company party, and he hired me to come out. So it's
awesome.
like, yeah, it's the way I like to phrase it. It's taking your event, your function, which would otherwise be a great event all by itself, but now it's memorable.
Sure.
We had this really sweet mobile cigar business come out, and it'll always be there in your mind. That was really awesome.
Yeah.
And memories are priceless.
Yeah. I mean, the cigars do that itself, but I think you also have a great brand and business as far as like you have the custom trailer.
Yeah.
I've had a chance to take a peek at your trailer before, and I mean, that just kind of has its own little.
It puts out its own
spice
vibe,
to it
man.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. When we're all done, we can go out in the garage and you check it out. My garage is a mess right now, but
Who's this?
Yeah. The garage is probably my least favorite part of a house.
Right.
It just seems to be this. And I know there are plenty of dudes out there who have turned their garage kind of like into their man cave, and it's well organized and it's awesome and it's all. And if that's you, man, kudos to you. Hats off to you. But for 95% of the people in the world, the garage just winds up kind of being this vortex of just whatever just doesn't belong in the house.
Right.
Gets chucked into the garage.
What's so funny, man? It's my wife and I. We were just talking about this. We it's an ongoing to-do list item for me to organize the garage. So it was about a year ago. We moved into our house about 5 years ago, but really got everything organized probably around this time last year. I bought some really nice shelving and put everything together. Had everything organized. I actually had it. I mean, to a point to where we could almost park both our cars in our 2-car garage. I mean, which is a big step from
quote unquote 2-car.
Right. Correct. Quote unquote. For sure. And then it's funny. My wife's like, oh, well, now that we have that cleaned out, I can move this stuff that I've had up here in this extra bedroom that we're not using. But I'm like, I just got it where I could like kind of like Step Brothers. Like there's so much room for extra activity now.
Yeah.
And no, not the case anymore. It's back to where we were. So yeah, it definitely has a way of, it doesn't fit here. We'll throw it out.
I've been there, man. I've lived in this house almost 3 years, and on several occasions I've gotten that garage in order, but it always give it 2 months.
Oh yeah,
and it'll be back into disarray.
See, that's generous. 2 months. If you're holding on to it for that long, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I suppose, but what? The Amazon boxes come, where they go? In the garage.
Yeah.
You're having a home project going on like my wife does here right now under the stairs.
Yeah.
So I've got drywall and boards and OSB in the garage. We went kayaking Sunday evening, pulled down the kayaks. I haven't put them away yet. Where are they at? On the floor in the garage.
Yep.
My cigar trailer's in the garage.
Right.
And by the way, I'm grateful that it's small enough to fit in my garage.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be renting a storage unit for it somewhere, and that's more money out of. Now, eventually, I want my business to grow, and I can get that, and it can get out of my garage. But
Sure.
For now, so you've got your extra fridge and freezer in the garage, and I've done the best. We've done the best we can with just racks and overhead storage, but garages, yeah, man,
I'm with you. I can relate.
Yeah. So awesome. Let's go ahead and get in. We're a little bit short on the cigar section, obviously, because we're not smoking, and that's totally cool. But you mentioned at the beginning of the show that you are a mortgage lender.
Sure.
And you work for a company called Homeside Financial in Simpsonville.
Yes, sir. Well, We're technically in Greenville. I live in Simpsonville.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I usually kind of put my primary focus. Most of my agents do work in Greenville. My referral partners are in Greenville, but being a part of Simpsonville for the past 8 years, I've really been heavily involved with that community and growing there as well. Maybe in the future we'll open up an office over there, but for now our office is in Greenville, but I live in Simpsonville. But you know how it is with this business, man. If you got your laptop, you can work wherever.
Yeah. Is Homeside strictly a South Carolina company?
No. So we're all over the country. We're licensed in, I think all the states now. I think we just got I think North Dakota was like the last one that we weren't licensed in that now we're licensed in. But we're a smaller big company, I would say. Like for instance, I can probably pick up the phone right now or on this podcast and call the owner of the company, and he's going to answer the phone. What's up, dude? How are you? He's super cool guy. So we're large enough to where we're able to offer some really great products and aggressive terms and things like that. But we're also small enough to be able to get things done and have that local lender feel. Like, my team individually, we're all local. We have about, I think, eight loan officers at my branch. And, we're, I work with Alex Leela. He's our branch manager. He's been in the game for, he probably don't want me to age himself here, but probably closer to the 20-year mark. And all of us have been in the game. I think I'm one of the young guns still, but I've been in it for 8 years now. So we got a really good core group of guys, but licensed all over the country. But short answer, we're still good old local boys doing our thing down here. Yeah.
So if there's somebody listening to this podcast who's thinking about getting, their finances in order to look at purchasing a home, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So really, I try to make it as easy as possible to get in touch with me, right? So, obviously cell phone is always the best way. I'm happy to give that out. My number is 864-752-7237. You can text me, call me, whatever you want to do. My email is kdobbins@homeside.com. My website is kevin.dobbins@gohomeside.com. And then, of course, I'm on the social media platforms. I'm pretty active on mostly Facebook and Instagram. I try to put out content that's relevant to what I do, along with, highlighting my family as well.
Sure.
But yeah, those are probably the easiest ways, the most convenient, and I guess modern ways to get in touch. But yeah, so that probably be the first step.
Yeah. Okay. And they can just go on social and search Kevin Dobbins.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like my Instagram handle is @KevinDobbins.
Well, that's easy enough.
I got in a little early on that, and I don't know how I got that name, but I'll take it.
Yeah. So one of the questions that just kind of came to mind that I didn't share with you beforehand, but I know you can speak to it, is my broker, Richard Cox, whom I'm sure you know.
Yep. Love Richard.
Yeah. Richard's, actually, I'm recording with him and another guy tomorrow, Mark Thonis, who is a luxury home builder.
Nice.
I've had Richard on as a guest before, just solo, but he's going to join us and make it a 2-person podcast. But, Richard likes to say, and I agree with this statement, being a realtor, Richard likes to say that real estate, like all great barbecue, is local.
Yeah.
And in our industry, we advocate for local lenders because they understand the local market.
Right.
But our population, whether they're watching TV, they're watching a sports game, they're bombarded with Rocket Mortgage.
Yep.
They're bombarded with Quicken Home Loans. So just kind of help the public here. Why instead of calling an 800 number and getting somebody from Quicken or Rocket, why should they call Kevin Dobbins instead?
Yeah. So, man, I can.
I'm sure you can expound on that.
I can answer this 100 different ways, but I'd say the primary focus of that answer would be, much like you said, local means care, right? So we truly do care. Like I said, I'm a Greenville native, right? So this is my neck of the woods, and like it or not, you have a reputation around here. I work with some really great people that have referred me business for years. And so whenever I get a referral from somebody like yourself or Keith or whoever, it's very important to me to not only take care of people because that's what I'm in this business to do, it's what I enjoy and appreciate, but it's also important because I want to take care of your people. I want to take care of Keith's people. because I make a living doing this as well. And I want to make sure you guys continue to send me business and whatnot. So I have, a reputation on the line to whereas, John Smith out in Arizona for Rocket Mortgage, you call him up. He, if he messes something up, miscalculates your income or puts you in the loan program and you don't have a good experience or you don't hit your closing date on time, who cares? He's going to get 3 more leads tomorrow because, like you said, the people are getting bombarded with these ads on, Super Bowl commercials or really any commercial at that point. But, and he's not going to lose any sleep over that at night. So first and foremost, it's who has your best interest in mind. Is it going to be somebody that you're never going to meet, you're never going to see, or is it going to be somebody that's like, hey, I did your loan and I just ran into you at, the local barbecue joint and shook your hand type deal. But that'd be number one. Number two is those guys, I hate to feel like I'm dogging on larger companies, but they don't do as thorough of a job as we do. And granted, I'm sure there are some good people that work with Rocket Mortgage, like anywhere. You have some good eggs, you have some bad eggs. But one thing that we do whenever, like, we pre-approve you for a home loan, so we're going to look at obviously your application, but we're going to look at your income, your assets, your job history, your whole financial picture, right? And we're going to assess and make sure that, when I say, hey, you're pre-approved, go get you a house, you don't have to second guess that. You can go online right now. We could do it while we're here to rocketmortgage.com and say, hey, I make $1 million a year. I've been at my job for 2 years and I have, 20 grand in the bank, and press submit, and they will generate you a pre-qualification letter for, a $2 million house or something like, and not even looking at any of your pay stubs or verifying that any of that's actually true. So it's more about the, you want to be accurate, you want someone that cares, and you want someone that has your best interest in mind, and you want somebody that, from an agent standpoint, you want them to come back to us and say, hey, Chris, man, I had a great experience with you. He referred me to that guy, Kevin. He did a great job on my loan. Like, we're lifetime clients now, you know, and that's a goal of mine. That's a focus.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and what you just said there at the end is massively important to me, because if I am helping a first-time home buyer and they are needing the financial part taken care of, which, they should understand the finances, that's not what I do,
right?
Because, and I get it, like, your real estate agent is your face-to-face person,
right?
Your mortgage officer or loan officer, you meet them a time or two, but your day-to-day is your real estate guy or girl. And so if I say, hey, call Kevin or whomever, we don't give out just one.
Right.
There's obviously laws on the books for that kind of things. But let's just say they call Kevin. Like, if you don't do a good job, then that reflects poorly on me.
Right.
Because, or vice versa, you get that unicorn person who comes to you with pre-approval already in hand. Like, I know that's rare for you to get somebody that's like, hey, I want to get this, I don't have an agent yet, and then you have the opportunity to refer out. It usually goes the other way around.
Absolutely.
9 times out of 10. But if it was the opposite, somebody came to you, said, I don't have an agent, can you recommend somebody? Yeah, call my friend Chris, and then I do a bad job. Well, that looks bad on you.
Right.
But like you said, Joe Schmo in Phoenix, whatever, they don't know Joe doesn't know them. They're never going to meet him. They're never going to see him. And what I tell my clients when it comes to real estate and we're doing the financial stuff, in addition to the couple of things you said, now hopefully you have a real estate agent who structures the contract properly. Obviously you're not going to close on a weekend because law offices are closed, but if we're running, it's closing day is Tuesday at 10 a.m. and we run into a massive problem Monday at 7 o'clock, I'm not getting anybody from Quicken or Rocket on the phone.
It's a very good
But guess what? I've got Kevin Dobbins' cell phone number.
Right.
And Kevin's going to pick up the phone, and I'm going to be like, hey, man, we got a problem.
Right. No, I mean, that's a very valid point. I'm glad you made it. But yeah, it is having that ability to get in touch with somebody. You know, I can't tell you how many times that, you know, someone's needed a pre-approval letter on a Saturday afternoon, or, hey, these people weren't looking to buy a house, but this house popped up. They fell in love with it immediately. It's Thursday at 7:00. Like, what can we do?
Yeah.
Good luck if that's somebody you don't have a relationship with.
Right.
So that's a very good point. Like saying, and to touch on that too, like as far as the local part goes, you know, Zillow's a great example. I think they're going to have like agents now, if I'm not mistaken. It's either Zillow or Rocket's getting into the actual real estate
brokerage part.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? Crazy to think about. We could probably do a whole podcast on just that alone, but I don't want to hire somebody from Zillow that is based out of wherever to come and, you know, list my house. They don't know this market, especially, I mean, that goes for anywhere, but especially like Greenville. You know, Greenville is such
number one destination.
So
well,
unique.
Maybe not Greenville, but South Carolina.
Right. So I want somebody. I want Chris. I want Chris to come to my house because he knows where Simpsonville is. He's been to Simpsonville, Lord knows how many times. He's familiar with the area. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, you live in a very desirable neighborhood. That gets you an extra X amount. You know, so that goes hand in hand too. Is just being local in that area. It goes a long way. And then, like, from my perspective, you know, I can't tell you how many times that I've reviewed. You know, people are like, hey, I got this quote from Rocket Mortgage. You know, what can you do? And I'll take a look at their quote, and I'm like, well, their property taxes are off by $2,400 a year, and their homeowner's insurance is way off. Like, oh, how do you know that? It's like, well, because you're interested in this house. I'm on the county website right now running a property tax estimate for that house. I know exactly to the penny what the taxes are for that house. It's important to note those things, because if your property taxes are off by $2,400 a year, well, your escrow account, we collect a certain amount depending on the month that you close for property taxes. That could alter your cash to close by, I mean, thousands of dollars.
That's a problem. You
know, and that is a prime example of local. Local is best with that.
100%. You also said that, and this is another thing that was in the notes, but stuff comes to me,
sure,
you know, mid-show. So you said you're a mortgage lender, but there are obviously people I think don't realize there are different kinds. So like there's mortgage lenders, there's mortgage brokers.
Sure.
There's also, you know, there's your credit union. You know, just kind of give us a brief overview of the different the different people out there and what they offer.
Yeah. And listen, I think there's pros and cons to each one of those, right? So as far as the pros go, you know, for us, we are a mortgage lender, but my company's a little unique. We have the ability to broker loans. So we have partners that we can broker stuff to. So brokering means you're kind of like a middleman. So maybe this company doesn't offer this product, but this company does, but you want to work with this company. So they, you know, handle your loan and then kind of let this company underwrite it. I'm personally not the biggest fan of that because, again, I like to have full control of my deals to make sure everything runs smooth and efficiently. So if it's at another company getting underwritten by somebody, I have no clue who it is. Like, I have no control over how quick they do it, how well they do it. I don't know. Their guidelines may be different than our guidelines. So brokering, while it has its benefits, maybe from a product standpoint, from a, you know, get in touch with and smoothness standpoint, there could be issues arise from there. Credit unions they're great, man. They're great. I don't want to harp on credit unions too hard. But if I'm going to a credit union, in my mind, I'm thinking car loans. I'm thinking personal loans. I'm thinking credit cards. I'm thinking, honestly, second mortgages. So like HELOCs. I have my HELOC with a credit union because they have very aggressive second mortgage products. But first lien position mortgages, it truly is a specialty. It's a different world. So it's something where, you know, I tell people, it's kind of a cheesy metaphor, but if you're going to be having guests over and you're going to cook some really nice steaks, I'm probably not going to go to Walmart to buy my steaks. Nothing against Walmart steaks. Had plenty of them. They're just fine. But if I want to really impress somebody, I'm going to go down to the road to the butcher shop where all they do every day is steaks. They cut steaks, beef. That's what they do. And that's kind of what I feel is our strong point is that's what I do all day, every day. I do first lien mortgage positions, and that's my specialty. It's all I've been doing. So, credit unions, again, a little bit more versatility with the products they can offer. I don't do car loans. I don't do any of that stuff. I just do straight up purchase and refinance mortgages and construction. But that's kind of the main differences between all of them, if I had to say. And same thing, I guess credit unions would go in line with like small banks too, like small local banks. I would put those two in the same category. But obviously I would say small banks, they usually do a little bit better on the first lien mortgage position side of things. Like the local banks around here they're really great. I don't want to harp on that, but big banks, I look at them like the Rocket Mortgages.
Yeah, like Bank of America.
Yeah, Bank of America. I mean, if you're thinking about getting a pre-approval letter through Bank of America or Wells Fargo.
Oh gosh, I hate Wells Fargo with a passion.
That's what I was going to say. Ask any agent, hey, what are your experiences with these companies? I'd be willing to bet that maybe not 9 out of 10, but 8 out of 10.
I would never recommend Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Never.
I'm with you. Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things. Again, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with Rocket Mortgage or Quicken or.
I would never recommend them either. I mean, I'm local,
right?
I just think it's better, and in my experience and things that I've seen. Yeah, and again, whether it's the same thing with Rocket or Quicken with Wells Fargo, Chase, or Bank of America. You're calling an 800 number to try and get somebody to help you, but with your local lenders, you have personal relationships, and that's a big deal.
Yep.
And then people get confused. I've tried to explain this to a couple of different clients before. Why is my rate this? Why are they doing this? And a lot of the times I'm like, look, that's a financial question. That's not my skill set. You need to talk to them. But it's like, you need to understand there's federal laws, there's state laws, and then after we get past those two things, every lender is going to have their own company policies that differ from one another. So what Homeside Financial is going to be able to do for you is probably going to look a little bit different than what this person over here can do, because they have different policies on what they're willing to offer, how risky they want to be.
Sure.
Just there's a lot of variables there.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, for the most part, all of us do play by the same sort of guidelines, like you're talking about federal, like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, USDA, the VA, all of those. We play by those same rules, but you are right. A lot of companies do have what they call overlays. So it's like a little bit more strenuous guidelines on top of the guidelines. Thankfully, Homeside Financial, one of the reasons we are where we are is they do not have overlays, which is nice. So if it says black and white through Fannie Mae, hey, we can do this, this is a loan, even though it's kind of iffy, if it says it, we can go buy it, we can take it to the bank. And so that is nice. That's the point. But no, it's a very good point, because there are a lot of companies out there that they won't touch certain stuff because of things that would fit the guidelines, but it's not worth the risk to that company.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah. So I think that, again, just highlighting the local aspect of it is a big deal. Most of us in this local market, if it's a local lender, we all play by kind of the same rules. It really just becomes, who do you have a good relationship with? Who has a good reputation? Who, do you feel is going to treat your clients right and take good care of them and, make them comfortable and, have a good, smooth, seamless experience with buying a house.
100%. Well, let me go ahead and put a pretty bow on that half of a cigar ad that I ran earlier.
There you go.
Yeah, if you were throwing a party and wanted to create an elegant cigar atmosphere, would you just go buy a few boxes of cigars and leave them out on the table? Wouldn't you rather exude class, sophistication, and elegance? Since you're craving that unique cigar experience, let the Cigar Box bring the cigar elegance to you. Arriving in a classy, custom-built teardrop trailer, we offer a curated selection of premium cigars in a sophisticated ambiance, all delivered to your location. Whether it's a private party, corporate event, or just a gathering of friends, we will take your event from great to memorable. Book your mobile cigar box experience today. Simply visit mobileCigarBox.com, fill out the booking inquiry form, and I will be in touch with you as soon as possible. So let's get back to all the terribly exciting talk about pre-approvals and mortgages. But no, this is stuff that's good for people to know. It really is. And I kind of want us to go into education mode here.
Sure.
And help the public. Obviously, I'm a realtor. We've been talking about it. You and I, we go hand in hand in our professional work capacities. So I think I know a little bit about some of the answers to these questions. However, maybe someone's out there listening to this podcast thinking about buying a house. Like I said, they've never bought one. They're a first-time home buyer. And that's an exciting prospect, to buy your first home.
Right.
I remember it, and it's a big deal, and it's super fun, but it's also overwhelming at the same time.
Absolutely.
There's a lot going on. So walk us through that process. What does it look like for them when a first-time home buyer picks up the phone and calls Kevin Dobbins?
Yeah, that's great, man. And so education is one of the biggest passions I have with this business. When I first got into the business, I was straight out of college, 22 years old, baby-faced, and ready to rock. I couldn't even spell mortgage, to be completely transparent with you. So I got into it, and I started realizing, wow, I was never taught any of this stuff in school. None of it, not even close. I had a general understanding of finances thanks to my parents and everything, but this was a new world to me, which is a shame because, like you said, so this is not only a big deal, but it's the biggest financial transaction of your life for most people. So buying your first house, extremely overwhelming. So my goal whenever I, introduce myself to people and I have that first consultation phone call is to make them feel comfortable, to educate them, and to not overwhelm them. So whenever they call me, I always like to let them know how serious that I take this for them and open the door and let them know, hey, look, there are no crazy or quote unquote dumb questions from this point forward. You ask me anything you need to know. I'm happy to elaborate on any part of this process because a lot of people, they feel like, oh, I don't ask the wrong question, or I don't want to seem like maybe I'm not good enough to get qualified by the questions that I ask. So I'm sure you've had people that have felt that way. But so I open up the floor like that, and I've found that really puts people at ease to begin with, right? So from there, what we do is I kind of just ask some general questions, kind of get to know them a little bit. I don't like to feel like people are just files coming across my desk. The personal aspect for me is a big deal because, like we talked about earlier, I'm looking for people that, they're going to buy their first house with me. My goal is then to buy the rest of their houses with me, whether that be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever the case may be. I'm in this for the long haul. So I'm, investing into my people the way that I would want to be invested into. So once I find out, what their life looks like, what their financial picture generally looks like, I always ask about, do you have any concerns? And a lot of them that'll open the floor for, well, I just started a job recently. So, okay, tell me a little bit about what you did before that job and how this came about. So I just kind of get the lay of the land, to understand where they are, where they've been, and what their goals are. Because, some people buying their first house, they're like, hey, I want to buy this house and I want to die in this house. And then some people are like, hey, I just need to get into a house, and then down the road, I'll probably level up, after I build some equity. I'm just tired of renting. So really where their head's at and where their goals are is how we tailor their experience and products and our path forward from there. So after we get past the get to know yous, the questions, the concerns, at this point in time, my goal is for them to feel like, man, that wasn't that bad. And that's what I really enjoy hearing when people, like, at the end of the phone conversation, like, all right, cool. So I know we've went over a lot together. I know I've thrown a lot at you. How are we feeling? And a lot of the times, I would say most of the time, they're like, this is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. This is really encouraging. And now I'm kind of starting to get excited about this, which is what you want, man. I mean, buying a home's fun. It's supposed to be a good experience. So from there, fast forward, not to get into the nitty gritty, super, like you said, exciting part of it. But, the next step would be for them to fill out the application, which, if you're listening and never bought a house before and not sure what exactly is on an application, it's very basic information. So we're getting your name, we're getting your social, we're getting your date of birth, employment history, residential history. That's kind of the gist of it, right? Just basic stuff you'll know off the top of your head. Once we get that back, that's enough for us to, get your file set up. We do go ahead and order credit at that time to go ahead and see where their scores are, which, we can probably dive into that aspect a little further down the road. But along with that, we get supporting documentation, which that part people are like, oh gosh, what documentation do you need? For most folks, it's a couple of W-2s, a couple of pay stubs, and a couple of bank statements, and a copy of your ID. That's really the cornerstone items. Now, there may be additional stuff depending on your individual situation, but that is all that we need to get everything squared away and to identify which loan program is going to fit you the best, what your pre-approval amount's going to be. And then one step that I do that I feel is a little bit, I guess, different than most is after we do a full pre-approval, I like to chat with them and say, hey, great news. All this is looking wonderful. But before I go over this amount with you, I need you to let me know about, I see you have this much saved up in your bank statements here. How much of this are you prepared to put towards this transaction? And listen, you don't have to have a lot of money to buy a house, by any means. People, the myth that you'll see is 20% down. You gotta have 20% down. That's the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, especially the first time home buyer. So we'll jump into that in a little bit. But, so they'll tell me, hey, I have X amount saved up to kind of throw towards this transaction. I'll say, okay, cool. Now, what's a good, comfortable monthly payment range that you want to be in? And they'll say, well, I don't want to be above $1,800 a month, $2,800, whatever the case may be. And then that way I can say, okay, great. You're pre-approved. If you want to spend X amount and have a monthly payment of around X amount, here's the purchase price range that you need to be shopping in. That way they know, okay, great. If I want to meet those goals, this is the price range I need to be looking at. And I'll tell them, hey, look, just so you know, you are pre-approved for more than this.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times you may get pre-approved for more than you actually want to spend on a house. So that's kind of not to get too long-winded, but the process of that first conversation and getting you set up and getting you back over to, Chris or whoever to start searching for the houses in that price range.
Yeah. And you talked a bit about in this industry, whether it's as a realtor or as a loan officer, reputation matters a lot. And, you said to me before the show that you have a reputation of keeping your clients educated and comfortable every step of the way. And it's always nice to have a professional walk with you through something when you're totally ignorant of what's going on and of the process. So, like, what's your routines for your clients? Like, how often are you touching base? How often are you keeping them informed of, we've got blah, blah, whatever.
Sure. Yeah. So, at the pre-approval stage, once we get you pre-approved, people find houses at different rates, right? It may take somebody 6 months. It may take somebody,
6 days.
Yeah, exactly. So, I usually touch base with all of my pre-approvals, usually once a week. And it could be as simple as a text message or a phone call, an email. Hey, just checking in. How's the house hunt going? And that helps me just to A, stay in touch with them, but B, I don't want them to feel like they're bothering me if they have a question come up or, hey, my dad mentioned this. What do you think about this? Or, yeah, man, we're seeing these houses and we're really interested in this one. That gives me an opportunity to say, oh, hey, well, you know what? here's what your monthly payment and your cash to close would be for that house that you're really interested in, which is great because they know before they even look at the house a real number for that. So I'm touching base with them, usually weekly or bi-weekly when they're pre-approved. And then once they, go into escrow or go under contract for a house, obviously we're a little bit more involved at that point because, typically you'll see a 30-day contract between ratified contract to the closing date. So at that point, we're probably touching base. We usually, like I said, we collect all your documents up front. So once we get you kind of locked in on your loan program, your interest rate, the numbers up front after we get the contract, they sign the disclosure package. And then from there, we're able to order the appraisal, order the title work. So really it just becomes kind of a keeping in touch phase from there where I say, hey, got everything ordered. We're about to go to underwriting. They'll let us know if we need anything from you guys to get your loan approved while we're waiting on the appraisal and the title work. So I would say on average, we're probably checking in, and sometimes it's just, hey, how you doing? How did inspections go? How did, due diligence go? Anything that concerns you. But other times it's, hey, just got word the appraisal's been scheduled for, next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Nothing you need to do. Just wanted to let you know. Or, hey, title work's been ordered. Their ETA is this date for us to get that back. So we're right on track and right where we need to be.
Yeah.
And along with that, I'm calling you as the buyer's agent or the listing agent, as we make what I call milestone progress. So once the underwriters reviewed the file, they say, hey, this looks great. We just need, X, Y, and Z for final approval, which X, Y, and Z is going to be the appraisal, the title work, and then any like housekeeping items like, hey, we need an additional pay stub or, hey, you transferred funds from your investment account to your bank account. We just need to source those funds. So that's kind of, I'd say at least once a week, if not a couple of times a week, just for different reasons, but ultimately ensuring them, hey, everything's where it's supposed to be. Everything's moving great. Here's where you are. Here's where you've been. Here's where we're going. Here's what you can expect. And just try to, again, smooth, seamless, and comfortable is the name of the game that we try to deliver.
Sure. No, that's great. And as the real estate professional, our kind of thing is like, I want to get you the best deal in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassle to your life, so you can, because buying a home, like I said earlier, it's exciting, but it also can be very overwhelming and a highly stressful thing because you've made an offer on a home, it's been accepted, now you're officially under contract, but anything can happen at any time.
Right.
And at the same time, you've told your landlord, I'm not renewing my lease, and you're starting to pack up your home, but things can, like I said, things can blow up, and it's just, so, on the backside, people like me and people like you, we're trying to keep everything under control and in line to not disrupt your life, because it's already disrupted because you've got to move and still keep up with family life and work life. We're just trying to make this as smooth and as seamless as possible for you.
I was telling an agent the other day, I said, we're not only in the real estate business, we're also in the emotional management business as well.
You're a therapist.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a marriage coach.
Absolutely. Financial coach.
You're a financial coach.
Yep.
You're all those things. And, you said something just a second ago that kind of made my little radar buzz. My dad said something or whatever. Like in the business of buying and selling houses, especially for the first-time home buyers, I get it. You're going to ask your parents for their opinion and their wisdom because they've done this before.
Right.
They know certain things, but that can also be very problematic.
Sure.
I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I tried to help a lady, a single lady buy a house. Her dad was an electrical engineer, and it was a nightmare trying to deal with this guy. And it's just like, and it's best for you as the client, but also really helpful to me as the realtor. Like if I know from the beginning Who are the decision makers
That's right.
in this process?
That's a big point.
Is it you? Is it you and your husband or wife? Is it you and your dad? Like who am I having to really, because I don't want to go to you and tell you one thing and then you come back and be like, well, no, my dad said.
That's
and
the worst.
And it's just, it can get to be an issue.
I'm with you. And honestly, I think you definitely catch more of the brunt of that than I do. Now, granted, of course, I have, moms and dads and whoever, aunt and uncles that like, hey, I know we talked about this, but my dad said this. And like what I do to alleviate that process, which again is much easier for me than it is for you, because you get the engineer, the guy that knows everything about every house, and says hey, that speck on the wall is not supposed to be there, it's not the code, whatever the case may be, which are all things that we take into considerations. But I go ahead, I tell him, hey, look, I'm happy to chat with Dad. Let's get him on the phone too. I want to make sure Dad's comfortable too, because I don't want him to think that his baby girl buying her first house is getting taken advantage of by any means. So that's a big piece of it. It does happen a lot, and I try to let them know, especially if I can tell that it'll make them again more comfortable with the process. Like, hey, your dad seems to have a couple of things going on that he's got some great questions. I would love to maybe discuss that. That way, it's not all on you to try to go back and forth between us, so he knows what we're talking about. Let's get it all
have a little conference
together.
Call.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I do try and tell clients in a situation like that, it's really much more if it's like a single lady than it is a single guy.
Sure.
For obvious reasons, just like you said, dads are protective of their daughters for obvious reasons, and they should be.
Absolutely.
They absolutely should be. They should be protective of their sons too, but the one thing that I do try to remind those clients at some point in that journey is, I'm glad that you have this help and this wisdom, but you have to remember at the end of the day, this is your house.
Right.
Daddy's not paying your mortgage.
That's right.
You are. So, just try and there's got to be some balance there.
No doubt.
But anyhow, as a realtor, some of my favorite people, like I said, they're a little bit of the unicorns, but some of my favorite people are the ones that come to me and say those magic words, I already have my pre-approval.
Sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
It just it's not a big deal, because like you said, if you got somebody that's on the ball and they get you information, you could have it cranked out in 24 hours.
Right.
But some people might come to me and say, well, I've got this pre-qualification letter. A pre-qualification letter and a pre-approval letter are not the same.
What?
Yeah. That's something that I want to help people understand. So explain the difference between the two and why one's better than the other.
Yeah. So pre-qualification, it's worth the paper that it's written on, to be honest with you. It's basically, if you come to me and say, hey, man, again, this is your Rocket Mortgage stuff, your Zillow Home Loans. This is you saying, hey, I make $20,000 a month. Hey, I have $50,000 in the bank. And it's like, okay, cool. Based off of these things that you've just told me, yeah, you're approved. That's a pre-qualification. No verification whatsoever. They may look at your credit, but again, if you have, you're saying you're making $20,000 a month and you have a lot of debt, but that $20,000 a month is covering it, no problem. Okay, great. But the reality is, let's say you're making $20,000 a month, but oh, by the way, you're self-employed and you write off 80% of that. Well, guess what? We're not able to use that $20,000 a month that you're making,
because you're really not making any money.
Right. To the government. That's the way they get you. They let you write stuff off, but they get you on the back end with stuff like buying a house. But, a pre-approval is where, and unless I absolutely have to, I will not do a pre-qualification. Like,
why would you have to?
So
what would be a scenario where you would do a pre-qual?
So a scenario I'd do a pre-qualification is, it's Saturday night. I have somebody that wasn't even looking for a house. Their wife saw a house, they saw a house, whoever saw a house, and they fell in love with it, right? And the agent comes to me and says, look, I know what I'm asking here, but they want to make an offer on this house. And if they don't go with you, they're going to go with Rocket Mortgage. They're going to go with Zillow Home Loans, whoever the case may be. And so what I do is I do my absolute best. I try to get as much information from them that I can, pull the credit, take a look at the credit, take a look at what they've given me, and, in a pinch is what I would say, in an absolute pinch. Otherwise, and everybody that I work with, they know that, the importance of a pre-approval letter, because if you're a listing agent, think about it. You get 2 offers on the table on a Saturday night, whatever. One's fully pre-approved, no contingencies, all of this is wonderful. And this one's like, hey, no, we're good to go too. We just need documentation to support our income, assets, and liabilities. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? So the only reason that I would do it would be because we need a quick turnaround and it's a pinch situation, and you'd rather have something rather than nothing.
Yeah. Well, you're not gonna. There is no offer to be made without a pre-qual at bare minimum,
right?
And a pre-approval is going to trump a pre-qual all day. Because
I mean, so the pre-qualification letter, it literally reads as, hey, based on your application, so what you've put on paper and your credit report, at least we've gotten your credit report, you're pre-qualified.
Basically, the or pre-approved,
right?
Like, to put it in layman's terms, the pre-qualification letter is a fast and loose version.
Oh, absolutely.
Of a pre-approval, which is the legitimate. We've taken a look at the numbers. We've pulled credit. We've got your employment history. We've got your pay stubs. We've got your housing history. We've crunched the numbers. This all looks legit.
Right. Yeah. And that's the pre-approval, right? So the pre-approval, again, is what we do up front, ideally every single time, where we get documentation to support the information on the application.
Yeah.
So, like you said, pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, just to show, okay, yeah, they are making $20,000 a month. I'm seeing that on their pay stubs. It lines up with their, yearly averages on their W-2s. And yeah, they said they had $80,000 to put down or $10,000 to put down, whatever it may be. Here it is in their bank statement. There's no, large random cash deposits of that amount that, we need to be able to source. Because I mean, there's stuff that comes up on bank statements. Like, I can't tell you how many times that I'll look at a bank statement and I'll say, oh, hey, what's this right here? Oh, well, that's my $400 a month that I pay to my wife for child support, or my ex-wife for child support. It's like, oh, well, we have to count that into your liabilities.
Yep.
So that's something that, unless I wouldn't seen it on your bank statement, if I did a pre-qualification instead of a pre-approval, that's getting missed.
Yeah.
And agents like yourself, good agents, are going to know a pre-qualification letter. Those things aren't being reviewed. So that's the main difference, is the quality. So again, when I say, hey, you're pre-approved, that means we have funds that are ready to back you unless something absolutely crazy out of our control, changes. And I even go a step further. I call the listing agent when there's an offer being put in, saying, hey, Chris, you're about to get an offer from our client. If you haven't already, it's so-and-so for your listing at, X amount street, whatever. I just want to let you know, I have all their documents, have their application. I've talked with them. We've went over numbers for this house individually. Here's a pre-approval letter that has your address on there. They're strong and ready to go. We're going to close this on time. If you or your seller have any questions or anything you'd like to discuss, I can only do so much with people's finances, but please let me know. I'm happy to make you feel as comfortable as you can about accepting this offer.
Yeah. And I'm going to harken back here to the local versus big box. I'm going to tell you this, if I am listing your house for sale, right? And 3 offers come in, and let's just pretend they're all the same. They're all the same offer, same amount, or they're all close. Like, the contingencies are roughly close. The offers are pretty close in number. And my seller's looking at an offer from Rocket Mortgage. One's looking at an offer from Bank of America, and one's looking at the third offer is from Kevin Dobbins at Homeside Financial. I am counseling my seller. You take the offer from Kevin Dobbins at Homeside Financial. Why? For the reasons we listed earlier. These offers are all relatively the same, but I know 100% I can get in touch with Kevin if I need to.
Right.
I know him personally. I know how he does business. I know the company that he does business with. I know how he treats his clients. I know I can get him when we're in a jam if that arises. You're not having to call, again, an 800 number and talk to somebody. But and again, when you're calling 800 numbers, you're talking to different people all the time.
Right.
Let me put. Do you mind
please
being
give
on
me your file number?
Yeah.
so we can
What's
look
your
this
file
up for
number?
you?
Do you mind if I put you on a quick 3-minute hold so I can review your file?
Right.
Kevin doesn't need to review your file. He knows what's in it.
Right.
So it's like, I cannot stress the importance enough of using local people.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, man. Because I mean, it is a misconception in this industry for sure. Which, again, I wasn't educated on it, so I don't expect other people to be completely educated on it. So I'm glad that we're able to bring that piece of it to life here.
Yeah. Well, look, man, let's take a quick break, and we're going to pour something better than coffee. All right, we'll be right back. All right, and we are back. Poured up, what'd you take? Penelope Toasted?
Toasted.
What do you think?
Not bad. I've had the other Penelope, the Architect, I believe.
Okay.
I used to call it the Arctic because it was a blue label, so I associate it with with cold. But not as harsh. Good, you've had the toasted flavors of other, good toasted profile. But pretty smooth.
I saw the other day, they had it in the store I was in, they had Penelope Marshmallow.
Have not seen that.
I bet it's delicious.
Yeah.
But I don't have it, didn't try it. I poured up a little bit of Heaven Hill and then just a smidge of Grand Marnier. Actually, I should have done something else just for a little orange in there. I like a drink called The Godfather, which is basically, it's just bourbon and amaretto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's me. I like that stuff. So I've got Heaven Hill. You've got Penelope, and now we're going to continue on, and we can get into bourbon in the personal section.
Yeah.
But let's get back into what we were doing. I guess I should have asked you. I hope you don't have cat allergies, man.
No,
okay,
not at all.
Good deal. Well, hopefully my cat doesn't kind of mess things up here. But anyway, you brought up earlier the huge myth that you need 20% down to buy a home.
Right.
And that is a huge amount of money, especially like there's people under that impression that you need 20% down, but coming up with 60 grand to buy a $300,000 home, that's a big lift.
Yeah.
And by the way, this area that we're in, 300 grand's nothing.
No,
so
that's almost entry level.
Yeah. To buy a $400,000 or $50,000, $500,000 home, to come up with 80 or 100 grand, that's not easy. In fact, very few people have that.
Right.
So the reality is that you can buy a home with much less down than that. So, walk us through what people need in cash to buy a home, and how buying their first home might be much more doable than they think.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So huge myth, 20% down. I can't tell you how many times I've had people call me and they're like, look, like I really want to buy a house. I have a good job, but I just don't have the 20% down. I'm like, okay, what's the problem? Well, I only have, 20 grand in the bank. I only have 10 grand in the bank. Okay, let's take a look. Like we can do that. It's like, yeah, absolutely. So there's different loan programs. So for instance, let's start with USDA, right? USDA is 100% financing. Now, when I say 100% financing, that means no down payment. There are still closing costs. You have your attorney fees, the appraisal, all of that stuff is still costs that you still, have to have. So we're talking, a few grand, depending on the purchase price, which sometimes can be negotiated to be paid for by the seller in certain situations. So, there's situations where you bring $0 to closing, which is cool. But USDA, it's going to be for homes in rural areas. So we have a good bit of that in the upstate of South Carolina. It's not going to be in the downtown Greenville area by any means, but you start getting out to Easley and Piedmont or Anderson, things along those lines. There's a lot of USDA territory. Now, much like most programs that are 100% financing or down payment assistance, there's going to be income limitations. So if you're making too much money, and it depends on the household size. So if it's just you're limited to X amount per year that you can make to qualify for that program. But if it's you and 5 other people and 3 of them are kids, then you get a little bit more wiggle room to make some more money. So you have that program. Veterans, there's a VA loan, 100% financing. It's a wonderful, wonderful loan program for our veterans. We do a lot of them. Same thing, 100% financing means no down payment, but there are still closing costs. So a few grand that you're bringing to the table. Aside from that, there are what's called down payment assistance programs. South Carolina has what's called South Carolina Housing. It's an entity that basically is responsible. It's funded through taxes and whatnot of South Carolina to generate home buying for lower income individuals. So you can get anywhere from 3 to 4% down payment assistance, depending on the purchase price, for a home that's basically a forgivable second mortgage. Okay, so not to dive in too deep on that, but let's say you're getting, we'll take a look at one of the individual programs, which is the Palmetto Heroes program, right? Palmetto Hero program, it goes towards, first responders, teachers, healthcare workers, and veterans. If you are one of those and you make, again, less than the income limit, which in some cases can be, depending on the area, I mean, we're talking 6 figures is the limit. So you can be underneath that and still qualify. But it is forgivable down payment assistance. So it means that the $10,000, you're not liable for that after a certain amount of years of living in the house. So that's also a big, game changer for people that, hey, I have $5,000 to my name, but I really need to buy a house. Like, okay, cool. You qualify for this. This is going to take care of all your down payment, and that'll take care of your closing cost. And we're ready to rock and roll. Aside from that, as far as standard, what I would say conventional or FHA loan products, which is really for anybody, depending on credit and other aspects of it, you need 3 to 3.5% down on a home. So, that's the minimum down payment for a first-time home buyer that aren't associated with one of those products. So, huge difference from assuming 20% down with that. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways to make that happen depending on your circumstance. And that's another thing we do, going back to the first steps, having that conversation with people, finding out their financial goals and getting their financial pictures, is saying, okay, hey, I have $5,000 my name. Okay, cool. Let's come up with a game plan. What loan program is going to fit you the best? How long do you plan on being in this house? That's why we do that consultation, to find out, not, hey, here's what you qualify for, but hey, here's what works for you in your situation.
Yeah. So if somebody's going to do like a FHA, and like you said, like 3% down, then they're going to run into PMI.
Yep.
Which, we would commonly refer to as mortgage insurance.
Sure.
So just kind of give us the quick and dirty, like what is the purpose of PMI and when can you get rid of it?
Yep. So FHA loans, unfortunately, it's for the life of the loan.
Okay.
Yep. If you put the minimum 3.5% down for FHA, it is for the life of the loan. For conventional loans, and this is where the 20% myth comes from, right? Once you put 20% down or reach 20% equity in your house, that's when that mortgage insurance goes away. And the reason why people hate mortgage insurance, and for good reason, it's money that just goes out the window. Mortgage insurance is there to protect the lender in case of people defaulting on their mortgage. So that's what it's there for. If you put less than 20% down.
What does it protect? Who or what is it protecting them from?
So they, if they have to buy the house back or they have to take possession of the house, there's cost associated with that. So it's their way.
Because there's going to be
protection fee.
There's going to be a legal step involved. Like in the state of South Carolina, I mean, we can get into the minutia and we can get into the particulars of it. Like, like the bank, like you technically legally own your home. Whenever you go through a mortgage process and everything closes, whatever, your name goes on the title. You own the home. However, the lender basically has a lien on your home. And so if you default on your mortgage, then they can repo your home. However, they can't just show up and be like, all right, I'm taking your home, get out. They have to go through a legal process in order for that to happen. Right. And so the PMI, I guess, basically helps them pay for all that stuff.
Essentially. I mean, that's my understanding of it. But think about it. You're saying, hey, Mr. Bank, I want to, borrow 95% of what this house is worth.
Right.
So you have 5% equity position.
You don't have much skin in it.
Right. So that's their way of saying, yeah, sure, that's fine. But PMI it's even though it goes out the window, it's not the end of the world by any means.
Well, you said it's for the life of the loan, but you also said
for FHA. For conventional, it falls off. So conventional loans, once you reach 20% equity, you can request for that private mortgage insurance, their monthly mortgage insurance, to be taken off of your payment.
Okay, well, what makes a loan conventional?
So there's conventional loan products and there's FHA loan products. So conventional, that's through Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, like that's your conventional loan. So that's going to be typically, I don't like to say higher credit score, lower debt to income ratio, but that's typically what falls in the parameters of a conventional loan. FHA is, if you have a little bit tighter of a debt to income ratio, if your credit score is maybe not, above 640, like, FHA might be the route because it tailors more towards a little bit higher risk of loan, to be completely honest with you, right? That's why mortgage insurance stays on for the life of the loan for those loans. But yeah, conventional and FHA, two separate entity of loan programs. So
okay, so to get conventional, obviously you need a bit of a higher credit score.
Not necessarily.
It's a combination of things.
Yeah,
it's like higher credit score, but less DTI, meaning debt to income ratio for
right.
listeners. So a combination of things that put you in the conventional category.
Right. So I will tell you this, just to clarify. So conventional loan products, you can technically have a 620 credit score and qualify for a conventional loan. FHA, they go down to, in some cases, 500, but the stars have to align with everything else for that to work. But it makes, whenever you start comparing, so once you get to, let's say, the 640 credit mark, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look and say, okay, a conventional loan at a 640 credit score is going to have, a higher interest rate than an FHA loan would at a 640 credit score. But the mortgage insurance is going to be higher. But when you compare the payments and the life of the loan, FHA is more cost effective for a 640 credit score in most cases than a conventional loan would be. Same, flip side of that coin, a 780 credit score, if I was to price both of those out, the interest rates are probably going to be pretty close because the credit score is high, but the mortgage insurance is going to be significantly cheaper for a conventional loan than it would be for the FHA. Therefore, it would make sense for them to go conventional rather than FHA. That makes sense?
Yeah. I hope it made sense for the listeners, but being in the business, it checks out. Yeah. So, I mean, with a much higher credit score, then your PMI is going to be much less, which means a cheaper monthly payment,
right,
for you, the consumer.
And of course, again, that's going to fall off if you're
yeah.
So that's the big difference. But again, going back to mortgage insurance, if a conventional loan, especially if you're a first time home buyer and you're putting, it could be 3% down, 5% down, whatever the case may be. When we're saying monthly mortgage insurance, I mean it can be as low as like $20 to $100 a month, depending on the price range. So it's not like this huge, massive fee that you're going after. But if you look at it, would you rather pay, let's just call it $70 a month of mortgage insurance, or would you rather have to come up with the extra 17% to put down?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you said, most people that's not an option, especially in today's economy. And in this market, especially if you're a local in South Carolina, I mean, we could talk about this for forever, man. Locals in South Carolina trying to buy their first house in South Carolina.
It's tough.
It's tough, man. It's tough. And we're talking about entry-level homes being, approaching 300,000 if we're not already there. I mean, that's tough for people that, have been making South Carolina wages their whole life with these home prices that are just continuing to get.
Yeah, well, that's what happens whenever you're the number one state. Or we've been in the top 5 for years.
Yep.
But now, I mean, yeah, so we've got tons of people from California, from New York, from Jersey, from all over the place coming here. And that just makes it's supply and demand economics. You've got X amount of supply and you have an influx of people. So supply becomes scarce, which means things become more valuable. And, builders are building like crazy, but it's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
So
I think you could probably attest to this as well. But like, for instance, I think I did the numbers on last year and give or take a couple of percentage points here, but around 40% of my purchase related business were folks moving to the state of South Carolina, which is
I'm not shocked. I mean,
absurd.
It's nuts, but I'm not shocked.
It's absurd.
Yeah. All right, man. So let's do it. Scenario time.
Okay.
Mary Jo has gotten her pre-approval for $375,000. She's made her offer, and her offer has been accepted. So, congrats, Mary Jo. You are now in escrow.
Yep.
For the next 30 to 45 days, depending on the contract, there are some things that Mary Jo should. I cannot emphasize this strongly enough. It's all caps in the show notes. There are 100% absolutely should not do items.
Yep.
For Mary Jo, or else she's going to hand grenade this deal. What are those grenade pins that she should avoid pulling?
That's a perfect metaphor for those situations. And this is something that, part of the consultation, once we, before we even go under contract, I'm telling these people these things, but I'm reminding them of it constantly throughout the process, because you got a lot going on buying a house. I get it. You're packing, you're moving, you need to buy stuff, you need to do stuff. Totally get it. But some of the biggest things that we see, even doesn't matter how many times we can, tell people, sometimes they, it's just not thinking. Opening up new credit accounts. That's probably the number one largest thing that I see. And it's not on every transaction by any means. It's a very low percentage, but it happens. So let's take example, a loan that we've, pre-approved and they're at the top of their price point. And by top of the price point, I mean, they're at the higher end of what we could get them approved for. And the reason why they're at the top of their price point for what we could get them approved for is their debt to income ratio, which for you guys, if you're listening and you're like, what in the world is debt to income ratio? An easy way to think about it is we take your qualifying income and we compare it to your monthly debt on your credit report. So like your utilities and things like that don't count, but like car loans, credit cards, your American Express, any personal loans, like that stuff's reporting to your credit. We have to count that against your qualifying income, along with what this new mortgage payment is going to be. And they've put in place, and by they, I mean the government, they put in place thresholds. Like you can't have more than, on FHA loans, which is the higher one. If you go above, it's like 56, 57% of your qualifying gross income, you're not getting approved for that loan now. So let's say that they're doing an FHA loan and they're at 53% debt to income, right? And they go and say, "Oh man, I'm gonna need new furniture for this house that I'm about to buy. So I'm gonna go to Rooms to Go. Let's just take a look, hun. Let's go take a look and see what they have over there. Oh, look at that lazy boy. Look at this couch. Yeah, that'll be something we're interested in." The salesman comes over and is like, "Hey, we can do 0% interest financing on this whole furniture set for you. And it's going to be X amount, whatever." Oh my gosh, that's a great deal. We're trying to save money right now because we're buying a house. They open up a new credit account. Their payment's now, $300 a month for all this furniture they just bought. It pops up on our end. We now have to count that $300 into their debt. And potentially that could push us over that threshold. And now we're not approved for the deal. So like you said, hand grenade, that's a big one. I've seen people buy cars. Well, I wanted to get a new car for my new house. And look, I get it. I'm not knocking anybody, but And some people, I've seen it where they do it and they were totally comfortable and fine to be able to do it, but you're still creating a lot of legwork for yourself now because we have to, add that account to all 3 of the credit bureaus. We have to get a statement for that account. I mean, everything has to be accounted for there. So opening new credit accounts, number one, worst thing you can do to throw a wrench into things and potentially kill your deal. That's a big one. I'm not sure if you've had any experience with that. Have you had any?
I've had other experiences, but not that one.
Okay. Another one would be like large deposits on their bank statement. So we may have to get an updated bank statement before we close on your house. And part of the rules that we have to look at is to make sure that you're not depositing, the $20,000 you had under your mattress into your bank account. Because again, we're playing with the government here and all of their red tape. They want to know where your money's coming from. Make sure you're not, 99% of the time you're not, but make sure you're not laundering money or doing something crazy with it. But we have to be able to source those funds. So if we have a $20,000 cash deposit because you wanted to pad your bank account, I can't source that. Now we're in trouble. Now we got to find a way around that or we don't have a deal anymore. So large cash deposits are a big no-no. If you need to make deposits, like it's not a big deal, but talk to your lender. Talk to me. Hey, I got 20 grand I need to put in the bank. Okay, cool. I'm going to tell you right now, you don't need to do that. So please don't do that. Let's do it after we close. So it's really, that goes to the communication point again, for them to feel comfortable and talking with us about all of these things. But those are the 2 main ones that I see: opening up new credit accounts and large
deposits,
cash deposits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's one that happened to me, and this should be a no-brainer. Don't quit your freaking job.
Yep. That's a big one too. So that rarely happens, but I have had a situation where this guy, super nice guy, and he didn't mean any harm by it. It just wasn't thinking. And he had a job. He was working for this it's like a commercial landscaping company, making good money, doing his own thing with this company, W-2'd employee. Well, he had built up a really good client base, and to the point to where they're like, hey man, you should break out on your own and, we'll still use you. So halfway through the process, he decides to start his own business. And in our world, if you're self-employed, in most situations, we're going to have a 2-year history of you being self-employed to, properly qualify that income. So for him to just willy-nilly, switch over to self-employment, that really, I mean, and the way that we called it is we have to do what's called a verification of employment, which means we reach out to their employer and say, hey, just want to make sure that John's still working here and that he's going to continue to work here. And they're like, no, John doesn't work here. So I had to call the guy and say, hey man, your company, I don't know if you know this yet or not, but you're no longer with them. And he's, oh yeah, I started my own business. I'm like, buddy, like, what were you doing? And luckily,
can you go get it back?
No.
Oh.
But in this one wasn't a sad ending. Thank goodness. We were able to, do a pivot and add like a co-signer with his wife. And, we made it work. We closed it on time. Nobody ever knew there was a problem. So, it was very stressful on the back end, but, like in this business, we're a duck on the pond. We're calm on the surface, but we're paddling like crazy underneath.
Well, here's another one, and it's along those lines of not quitting your job. I mean, to us, I mean, just it's like common sense, but we're in the business, is what we do, right? But another one, and this might be a little bit more doable, but you really, really, really need to check with your loan officer ahead of time. Not just don't quit your job, but even like job transfers.
Yep.
In the middle of, like your company's doing really well, but they want you to go open a new branch in a different city.
Right.
That's a whole nother ball game. And so that's just going to throw a wrench in things. If you can put it off until after closing, great. But if not, talk with your mortgage lender ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Let them know, hey, this could be happening. What do we need to do? Yeah. So
absolutely. Yeah, and it's not the end of the world with that situation, but you are right. It would throw a huge wrench into things. Because I mean, like I said, we got people moving here all the time, and part of the questions we have to ask, okay, I see you're making 80 grand a year with this company, but it's also where you are right now in Michigan.
Right.
Oh, well, I work remotely. Okay, cool. I just need a letter from your employer saying, hey, John can work remotely.
Yeah.
Or, hey, John's transferring to our Greenville, South Carolina location, and, his salary is going to remain the same. Okay, cool. We just have to be able to make it make sense. That's the name of the game. Make it make sense.
Yeah, 100%. So if you get your offer on a home accepted and you're in escrow from the real estate agent side, probably even from the lender side, man, I want you to live on beans and rice for the next 30 to 45 days. Yeah, please. Don't buy a bunch of new furniture for your house. Don't buy a new car. Don't quit your job. Don't do a job transfer. Don't open up new credit cards. Like, you want to have a huge celebratory, and I get it. It's a big deal. Do it the day after closing.
Right.
Go buy everything in the world you want to buy because now it's yours. But you can totally just blow everything to smithereens.
No doubt.
By doing crazy financial stuff in the middle of your escrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great points.
All right. So here's something else I know for a fact that some people have struggled with. Mary Jo, same lady, she's been diligent and she has saved up 50 grand for her $375,000 home. She's done her own math, right? She's been at home. She's looked at her income. She's looked at her bills. She used the online mortgage calculators, and she thinks that she can make it work. However, Mary Jo, for various reasons, her home that she wants is $375,000. She only gets pre-approved for $325,000. And she's upset because in her mind, the home is $375,000. She's spending $50,000. So a $325,000 pre-approval should be enough because the math works. She only needs to borrow $325,000 because she's got $50,000. What's the problem?
Yeah. So most of the time, your pre-approval is going to be based off of the purchase price, not necessarily the loan amount. So whenever I pre-approve you, I'm saying, hey, based off of your 50 grand that you have to put down, you're pre-approved for a purchase price of $325,000, which means their loan amount they're only pre-approved for is $275,000. Okay, so a lot of the times, and I appreciate people doing their own research with the mortgage calculators, just kind of getting a general idea, and it kind of helps prepare for our conversation as well once we get into the nitty gritty of it. But the reality is there's a lot of rules here. There's a lot of ways to go about this. Different loan programs require different things. The math for you may not be the math that we're allowed to use. So that's why it's important to clearly understand from a local lender what that looks like. So, I personally haven't had that experience happen with me, where someone's like, they'll usually ask, like, hey, was that a $325,000 loan amount or $325,000 purchase price? Now, it's a purchase price. But in her case, let's say she's thinking $375,000 because she has $50,000 to put down to get to a $325,000 loan amount. If that loan officer pre-approved them for a $325,000, purchase price, he's assuming that she's going to put 50 grand because that's what she's told him on a $325,000 purchase price. So he's pre-approving her based off of a $275,000, so $100,000 less than the purchase price loan amount. So that's where the problem comes into is really miscommunication.
Well, it's just people, and I understand the consumer. That's like buying and selling homes, and on the finance side of it, whether I'm talking about you or talking about me, this is not what they do.
Right.
It's not their life. They just want to buy a house.
Completely different lingo.
It is. And so you can see how I formulated the question. It makes total sense. All I need to borrow is $325,000, and I'm going to put down $50,000, and that's $375,000, and this home's $375,000. I should be able to do this.
Yeah,
it works. It doesn't work, unfortunately, but I can see how people think that. I mean, I've thought that.
Yeah.
I know other people that have thought that, but it's like, No, your pre-approval has to be not what you're borrowing. It has to be the purchase price of the home.
Sure.
And that can be, but hopefully, maybe this helps enlighten some people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's a great point there. Like I said, there's a lot of misconceptions, and like you said, this is, and I tell, like I said it earlier, I tell this to first-time home buyers, but I even tell it to people who's buying their fourth, fifth house. Like, hey, look, this is your fourth or fifth time going through this. Like, I don't expect you to know everything. So please, like, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I can dive into this, each individual aspect, way more than you probably want me to. But I want to make sure that everything's communicated clearly and that we're all on the same page and we know exactly what to expect from this point forward. And there's no, I always say there's no surprises, and it's good surprises at the end of the process.
Right. All right. One more question in the home loan arena. Low credit score.
Yep.
Low credit score is a difficult thing for a lot of people that prevents them from buying a home at I shouldn't necessarily say reasonable price. Maybe it is reasonable price, but I mean, low credit score has a huge impact on your interest rate. Not just like the amount of the loan or the amount that you can be pre-approved for, but the interest rate, which is a big deal. And, speaking of Zillow, when I first got started in real estate, I was on a Zillow team. And, you get all kind of people calling when it comes to Zillow stuff. And people want to see this house, and it's $600,000, and turns out they've got a, 560 credit score. And I'm like, bro, this is not going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
So I know getting that score up takes a lot of discipline, and it takes time,
right?
Which is very frustrating for people. But walk us through that. Walk us through what it looks like for somebody to start repairing their credit.
Yeah. So I would say the most important note to make up front would be that not every two credit scores and situations are going to be the same. So a 560 credit score for somebody versus somebody else with a 560 credit score could be two completely different game plans, two completely different things going on with their credit. One may take 2 years to get back up. One may take 6 months to get back up, sometimes quicker than that. So I would say it's important to identify what's going on, right? So this didn't happen overnight. It's not going to be fixed overnight. So we need to figure out what happened, where it went wrong, and what we need to do to kind of move forward and start putting that behind us and going back on the up and up. So one of the things that we do, I encourage people, to, if they tell me, hey, I got a 600 credit score or 500 credit, whatever the case may be, I don't discourage them from applying.
Sure.
Because it's ethically, it's my duty to financially advise people on how to help them out and to get them to a position to where they can purchase a house. So when they do apply, that allows for me to, going back to what we talked about, I can order their credit report. That way I have a full picture of exactly where their scores are. I can see every late payment they've ever had. I can see, there may be some medical collections or something like that they didn't know about, or whatever the case may be, but that gives me a picture to work with. Okay. And for most folks, it is late payments. It is high credit usage. So if you have a $5,000 limit on a credit card, some people have $5,000 balances on there. That and they don't. That's the lack of education part, is they may not know that hurts them. They're like, I haven't missed a payment, but
yeah,
I got a $5,000 credit card and I use that. I'm like, well, how much is your balance? Well, it's around. I keep it around 5,000 because that's what they gave me. I'm like, well, here's why that doesn't work. So it really is. It can be quick fixes like that. Like, hey, pay that down to below 50% usage. Make that a focus for this month. Put some money back if you can. It may take a couple of months depending on your situation. Let's pay that down to $2,500 or less, and then that's going to bump your scores just from doing that. So really, it is about identifying what specific issues there are. If it is late payments and nothing but late payments, then at that point it becomes discipline. Let's come up with, maybe your budget's, are you struggling to make these payments? Are you forgetting to make these payments? Like, let's identify the issue of the late payment. You may just, man, I pay it on the 16th of every month, but I didn't, I thought as long as I was paying it once a month, well, it's due on the 1st or maybe due on whatever
the 15th or whatever.
Yeah, right. But if you're late, now you're 1 month behind and you'll stay 1 month behind, so it's really important to, you can see there's a lot of differences, right? And that's where, we come in to help to be able to say, here's what's going on. Here's what's weighing your credit the most. Here's how we fix this. And in most cases, we can come up with a timeline for them, actually. So we have technology that allows for us to kind of plug and play with people's credit. So, let's say they have that $5,000 credit card. They have $5,000 of a balance on there. I can plug and play and say, okay, if I make that balance instead of $5,000, let's say they pay it down to $1,000 and we wait 6 months, what's that going to do to the credit? And it'll give me a forecast like, hey, they're at a 590 right now. In 6 months, if they keep that balance at $1,000, now we're going to be at a 630. Okay. Now we're able to play ball. So it really is identifying, coming up with the right game plan, and approaching it with I don't want to say a humble mind, but you got to be able to look in the mirror and say, hey,
well, on the consumer side, if it's a just kind of a, I'm a little bit of a space cadet and
right.
I just, I pay it every month, but okay, well, just set a reminder on your phone like 2 days ahead of time before your bill's due. So it just repeats every month, and you pay that. But if it's my budget's out of whack and I don't really know where I'm spending my money, then it's going to be that, okay, I need to look in the mirror and you have to, this becomes a, I'll just go ahead and say it. This becomes a desire / character
absolutely
issue. It's like, well, how bad do I really want to own my own home? And that might mean for the next 6, 9, 18 months that I need to stop going to Starbucks. I need to stop going out to eat so much and going partying with my friends. I need to eat at home. Right. I really need to be saving my money. And it's going to necessitate a change in lifestyle in order for you to afford your home. And by the way, like that can be hard and it can be discouraging, but I think you should probably take the approach that this is seasonal. Right. This is a seasonal time in life where you're going to have to buckle down and do some hard things, get your home. And then at that point, you can begin to maybe reintroduce some things, but hopefully maybe in that time, you might learn some things about budgeting and handling your money and, and it helps you in the long run.
Yep. And one of the things we do, in that circumstance where it's a budget issue, we have a budget worksheet that a guy for our company that is way more intelligent than I am with Excel spreadsheets and everything has created a budget worksheet that we have. And I'll send that to them and then we'll go over it together. And I'll in some cases, I'll help them fill it out and we'll go, all right, I see where the problem is. You're spending $2,000 a month on DoorDash. Like,
right.
And it helps, just, cause sometimes, you just need to identify. You just got to see, oh man, I am spending that much on DoorDash. I am, going to eat out 4 nights out of the week.
Right.
So it really is, you just got to be able to see it. And sometimes it does take putting it on paper in front of you to see what's going on. Some people are visual, so I totally get that. And that's the most rewarding clients to close on a home with are folks that come to you in similar situations to that. You're able to help them. They make the changes needed. They get to where they need to be, and then they buy a house. I know for them, but for me, that's so cool, man.
Like, no, that's a big deal.
It's so cool.
Just to see that. It's so satisfying.
Yeah.
And people don't realize we're just kind of in this. I get it. Going out to eat's fun. I do plenty of it. It's like, and there's those nights where you're like, I don't want to cook. I don't feel like making, so you go out. But, you go drop $15 at Chipotle, and you could have made pretty much the same thing at home for like $4.
Right.
And you do that 6 times a month.
Yeah. And you may not need to eat home and, every single night, but if you're going, let's say 4 nights out of the week, okay, let's do the math. What if you only did 2 times out of the week?
Right.
Okay, well, I'm saving this much per month. Okay, well, that can now go towards that credit card you've been missing a payment on for the past 3 months, So, yeah, definitely a good point. But, yeah, that's my gist on.
Yeah. So just a follow-up question here to the credit stuff. Do you think the credit repair services that we're bombarded with in advertising are they nonsense? Are they legit? I mean, it just sounds like our conversation right here. You really don't need those.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to make anybody mad by any means, but
looking at you, Credit Karma.
Yeah. Listen, it's funny, man, is I tell people to download Credit Karma.
Sure.
And the reason why, it's a terrible way to assess what your actual score is, but it's a great tool and resource to look at what's being reported to your credit, so you can make sure that payments are posting, that balances are where they're supposed to be or what you think they are. So it is a good way to keep up with things, but do not use it as a score analyzer by any means. So use it more as a tool to see, like a lot of times if I have somebody that's young and has no credit, I tell them, in most cases they need to open up like a secured credit card or something. And then once they do that, I'm like, hey, keep an eye on Credit Karma. And in about a month's time after you use it, you should see that account pop up there. We want to make sure that it's reporting and that you're building your credit history. So it's good for, tools like that. But as far as like credit repair, you got to be wary of some companies. Any company that promises you the world and says they can fix your credit overnight, red flag. There's a lot of companies out there that will just go on there and they will dispute every account on your credit, which I don't know how much you know about that, but if you dispute derogatory accounts on your credit, it falsely boosts your scores, right? So if you, let's say you have a really bad credit card history on this one credit card, it's dragging your score down to 600, and you have this company come and they say, oh yeah, we'll fix your credit for you, and they dispute that account. Next month, your score is going to go up to, 720, which is a huge, huge difference. But in the grand scheme of things, like when you apply for a house, we're going to say, hey, in some cases, we need that account taken out of dispute. And when it gets taken out of dispute, now we're back to where we were.
Right.
So it's kind of a, putting makeup on a pig type deal. So there are companies out there, and I'll be completely transparent with you just because I am usually the one helping my clients. So I don't necessarily refer anybody to them or have had any experience with these companies, but I know that there are companies out there just from conversation pieces with other people that they will do a deep dive into your credit and they will help you out. Like a lot of, there's debt consolidation companies and things like that that can really help people out. And that's not for everybody, but it is for some people. But I would say anybody that promises you the world, very quickly on your credit,
well, it's just the old saying, if it sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, it probably is. The perfect application here. So, there's a lot of companies around here that they're like, hey, pay me $250 a month and we'll work on your credit. And
that's a steep ask.
Yeah. And it's like, man, I can't even, make my payments as is. Like, now I'm paying you $250 to figure out what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
So, I don't know of any companies that I would say, if you're listening, go to this website. This is a great company. But I will tell you that if you are trying to buy a house or you're trying to get, financially stable, like a local lender is a great place to start because that's what we do. We look at credit all day long with stuff, and we can usually identify, hey man, you have 3 credit cards that you have maxed out right now. If you pay those down, you're going to be 50 points higher this time next month.
Sure.
And that was free advice, hoping you'll come back to me and use me for your home loan.
Sure.
So that would be, I guess, my 2 cents there.
Yeah. Well, people, and I don't think, really people understand their credit score. I mean, it has to do with obviously, like you said, what's your DTI? Where's your debt? Are you paying it on time? Is your debt maxed out? Are you carrying a $4,800 balance on the regular with a $5,000 limit card? Those kinds of things. How long have your accounts been open? There's various factors, but we have Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. So we've got these three credit reporting agencies, and they're going, whenever you pull credit on somebody, they're each going to send you a report, and the numbers are all going to vary between the three of them. And so what are you doing? You're eliminating the best and the worst and taking the middle?
Yep. Median score. Yep. That's right. So we look at all three credit bureaus. We do, for a full pre-approval, we do a quote unquote hard inquiry. Okay. Which just means we're pulling from all three credit bureaus, but people get freaked out by that. For a mortgage credit pool, I've never seen it affect someone's score more than like 5 points. A lot of the times I'll have somebody like, man, my score dropped 20 points. I'm like, oh, wow, let's take a look at that. And I'll take a look. I'm like, oh, well, looks like you just missed this payment right here. Or, hey, you closed out your car loan, you paid it off. That can actually temporarily.
Isn't that crazy?
It's wild. Well,
I don't understand why it negatively affects your credit if you pay something off.
So what's funny, man, is you got to think about it. Those three credit bureaus, it truly is a monopoly. Like, they own the game.
Yeah.
And to play their game, they want you to be in debt. So
right.
If you eliminate your debt, I mean, think about it. To have a credit score, you must have debt.
Right.
You would think if you have zero debt, you'd have a perfect credit score. Nope.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why you got to play the game. That's why, one of the tricks of the trade, you young people that are listening right now with credit cards, if you're paying it off each month.
I hope young people listen to my podcast.
if you're paying it off, and this could be not for young people too. I mean, anybody. I sure didn't know this by any means, but if you're paying it off each month, first off, kudos to you.
Yeah.
Great job. You're doing what you're supposed to do. Pay it down to $10 a month. Pay it down to a $10 balance, because you'll be rewarded more for carrying any balance, even if it's $10 rather than you.
Yeah, and the interest on it will be minimal because it's $10.
Correct. You're playing the game.
Yeah. Well, see, I mean, of course, I'm old. I'm 45, so my credit score is well established.
Right.
But I don't care. I use my credit card all the time.
Yep.
And I pay it off every month. But it's not going to affect me because I've got a car note and I've got other things. So but yeah. And you would think, and I get it, for a young person that doesn't like, debt is terrible. You don't want it. And there are certain things that can be usable, right?
Sure.
Like debt on a home. Okay,
right.
That's a totally different animal than just pointless, aimless credit card debt. Where you've got a $12,000 card, and but what do you actually have to show for this? A bunch of trips to McDonald's, like
right. Exactly.
Do you have an actual asset tied to this debt?
Right.
So debt by and large is negative, but you can use it wisely for certain things.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a great thing to just pay cash for everything and never be beholden to anyone, but then you don't get to play the game because you don't have a credit score and you can't buy a boat or a house or a whatever it is you want to buy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say probably a touchy subject would be, that's the Dave Ramsey model.
Yeah.
Pay cash for everything. It's like, well, who can pay cash for a house as a first-time home buyer? Like, and you don't have any credit. Like, yeah, it's technically, it is possible, but it's definitely not as.
I mean, Dave Ramsey's got some great stuff, and
he does.
He's got some not so great stuff.
He does,
just like everybody.
Yep. I would love to. Maybe that can be my next podcast. Try to get on with Dave.
Get on the Dave Ramsey show. Yeah, man.
That's where I'm headed.
All right, awesome. Hey, Dave. I take back what I said about you, that you don't have good stuff. You got great stuff. Kevin wants to come on. I don't think Dave listens to my podcast.
You never know.
He probably should, though. We'll get him on. We'll all smoke a cigar. He probably doesn't smoke cigars. But anyway, so I'm going to ask a question. I think we've probably covered it in pieces here and there, but maybe you've got a summation. If we haven't covered it yet, what would you like for people to know about either getting a mortgage for a home or the mortgage industry overall? Yeah.
So I would say education is key. I mean, I feel like I've been harping on that this whole time, but educate yourself in basic, just knowledge of finance. That is such a huge factor that young people are missing these days. So education, and I'm not telling you to go read a book on it. I'm just telling you to kind of have a general understanding of what you're getting into. And then, a point that I would make that a lot of people get hung up on, and this is probably going to be a sensitive touch point too, but don't stress out so much about your interest rate, because people get hung up so much on interest rate, and rightfully so in some aspect. But what you're looking at is, you're going to be paying into an appreciating asset in most cases. Okay. So the difference between a 6.5% interest rate and a 5.5% interest rate, yes, can be a big difference in your payment. But at the end of the day, let's look at your payment. If your payment is something that you're comfortable with, I'd rather you get into, especially in this area, I'd rather you buy that $300,000 house today at a 6.375% interest rate rather than wait, let's say, till September when, let's say they drop in September. Don't ask me that question. But let's say they drop in September. Well, that $300,000 house, depending on the area, could be well higher. It could be in some areas, let's say it appreciates to 320, but let's say the rates go down to 5.625. Like, wow, okay, that's a big jump. And those people that have been waiting for rates to come down, as a lot of people have, now they're going to go after this house with the 17 other people that have also been waiting.
Yep.
And yeah, the interest rate's lower, but your payment's going to be higher now because the price point's higher. And oh, by the way, the likelihood is one of those 17 people are going to go above asking price to try to win that. So now you're driving the price up.
Yeah.
So I would say I would rather people get into the house that makes sense for them now if they can temporarily swallow the higher payment than what it will be, because I'd rather you be in that position now than in that position later, trying to go up against all these other people for a higher monthly payment when you could be sitting on your back porch, smoking a cigar, drinking a beer, and filling out refinance paperwork to get the payment lower.
Yeah, people ask me, and again, this goes to just being the realtor, and you're the face-to-face contact. You're the guy, and there, people ask you about rates, and what's the rates, where we're at. And for me, I really don't pay attention to that. Maybe I should, but for me, it doesn't really matter. That's a question for the finance guy.
Yep.
My job is to help you find the home that you want.
Right.
And I'll let the finance dude take care of the interest rate and all that stuff, because in my world, the rate is what it is. I mean, that's what it is for you too. I mean, you don't have any control over what the rate is, neither do I. But my job, regardless of whether the rates are up or down, is to help you find the house that you want. And like you said, people don't understand that. Well, I'm just gonna hold on until they drop the rates. You and 5,000 other people.
Yep.
And that when that happens, then you and 5,000 or 10,000 other people in the upstate of South Carolina, or more than that, y'all are all going to run out. You're going to get your pre-approval, and then you're going to have a bidding war on this house, and the prices are going to go up. Do you really not think that listing agents and homeowners pay attention to that stuff?
Right.
Of course they do.
Yep.
And so, Richard always, it just kind of, the word is, you buy the home and you date the rate. And like you said, you could be sitting you could have a 6.5, and you could be sitting on your back porch, smoking a cigar, drinking your bourbon, and 30 months from now, filling out refi paperwork.
Yep. And oh, by the way, your house is appreciated by how much in 30 months?
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, congratulations. Yes, you secured a lower rate, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that would be, and I hate being the mortgage lender saying, don't worry about the rate, but it's all in good faith. I promise with what I'm trying to.
Yeah. Well, but you and I both know that we have been in historically low home rates for decades, that if you can't stay there forever.
No.
It's just, I remember, my dad talking about the first home he ever bought, and the rates were just ridiculously much higher than they are now.
Yep.
You should know, what's the rate today?
I mean, I would say low to mid sixes right now. Yeah.
That's not bad. You know, you talk about people having rates that were like 12.
Yeah.
Or higher.
Higher than that, yeah.
Higher than that. And so and I get it. Everything's relative. It doesn't help anybody today whenever their dad says, well, my first home, I was paying 15%. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That didn't help me.
Right, exactly.
You know?
But I guess my case is you didn't care when you opened up that Discover credit card with a 17.5% interest rate on it. You don't even know what your interest rate is on your credit card, but you're so focused on, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's so much more highlighted in the mortgage industry than, and I mean, I get it. You know, you're borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you know, you're not worried about the rate. You're worried about the rate because someone told you to be.
Yeah. That's exactly right. So, well, speaking of all this real estate talk, if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Greenville, South Carolina, because frankly, who isn't? South Carolina is one of the top destinations. It actually is the top destinations for the nation. People are moving here in droves, and maybe you want to buy a home and catch the equity that will come over the next decade or next 2 or 3 decades here in the upstate, or maybe you want to capitalize on the need for housing and sell your home for top dollar. As a realtor with C. Joyner and a member of Nexus Group, I'm your local expert. It's our aim to get you, as I said, the best deal in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of disturbance to your personal life. We offer a personalized experience, paying great attention to your needs, a service-oriented mindset, expert market analysis, and proven results. From downtown condos to spacious family homes, we will guide you every step of the way. Let our experience work for you, and let me do all the people and paperwork while you continue on with your life. You can set up a free consultation today, no obligation. Reach out to me at 864-207-2316 or visit my website, Chris Strother, that's STROTHER, chrisstrother.cdanjoyner.com. That sound professional?
That sounded great. Have you said that before? Once or twice?
Many times. Yeah.
That sounds good, man.
Well, I mean, you know, AI has its usage. You know, that's what I just went to the AI site and I'm like, hey, punch me in an ad for a realtor in South Carolina in Greenville. Bam, there it was.
AI, if you're not using AI, you're falling behind.
You know, I use it for stuff like that, just to help me. And of course, you go in and you tweak it. You make it. You do that. In fact, because with my cigar business, I advertise on a wedding website called The Knot. Yeah, I'm hoping to advertise in another one. I used
that website actually.
Oh, really?
Back in the day, yeah.
Nice. When you get ready to have a big anniversary party, let me know. We'll bring out those cigars. But anyway, what I did the other day was I asked it. I'm like, make me a 10-step email follow-up campaign.
Boom.
Bam. Done. So for like the next 10 weeks, anybody that reaches out to me on that website, I've got 10 touches with different flavor to each touch.
Yeah.
You know, because that's stuff that I would struggle to come up with 10 different emails to say the same thing.
Absolutely.
I did the same thing with my real estate. Create me a 12-step real estate follow-up campaign. Done.
It's beautiful.
And you go in and you just kind of tweak it to what you need.
Yeah. It's just great, man. I use it for business. I use it for I actually have an AI voice recorder on my phone that I bought, which is pretty cool. You know, I can, if I'm about to go over on a phone conversation, you know, with 4 different loan options for this engineer that wants to hear everything that, you know, every number possible. I'll say, hey man, if you're cool with it, I'm going to record this conversation. That way I can send you a follow-up of our conversation via email. So we have something in writing just so you can reference back to it and,
that's great.
So I'll record a phone call. It's automatically connected to ChatGPT, and I have like a template set up and everything that I've done and kind of, I wouldn't say coded, but created.
Yeah.
That it'll create the way it knows I'm a mortgage lender. It knows like how I like to communicate with my clients. It'll pop out an email.
Just summarize.
Summarization of what we talked about. Bullet pointed, summarized beautifully, and boom, we hang up. 5 minutes later, it's in their inbox.
That's awesome.
It's great. So it's very like, and I used to do that just by my notes, and I'm sure it was just fine. But man, as far as time
It
goes.
just helps you.
Yeah, it's great.
That's
AI
great.
is wonderful. I use it for.
It's got its
a lot.
pluses. There's some things I'm scared about, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it might.
I mean, Skynet.
It might take over our lives in the next couple of decades, but until then, it's great.
All right, man. Let's get into the personal section about Kevin Dobbins. Now, one of the things I always like to talk about is how people got where they are, and like I'm pretty sure that you weren't a sophomore in high school, sitting at your desk thinking, "No, I bet I could crush it as a mortgage lender. I think that's what I'm going to do." So, but you said you got into it like right out of college.
Yeah.
So were you in college for finance or
no,
what?
man? I was in college for baseball. So I went to school to play ball, and I ended up graduating with a political science degree of all things.
Oh, poli-sci.
Yeah, so completely different realm, but a couple of different things kind of led me to the mortgage industry. So as far as background and I would say strengths go, my family, we owned Dobbins Pest Control for 25 years before my dad passed, and we ended up selling the business to Jason Galloway, which he's still around and does a tremendous job. I think Keith actually uses them for their pest control, all of his transactions and stuff. But
like pest inspection.
Yeah. So little plug for Jason and Dobbins Pest Control. Those are some really good guys.
Oh, that's cool that you kept the name.
Yeah, kept the name. My dad was a firefighter as well. And his patch number was 530 on his helmet. And so their logo is Dobbins Pest Control, has 530 on the bottom of it and everything. And the phone number, it's 246-4506. That was my old home phone number. They still use that number today. But anyway, so I was around real estate agents and kind of the home buying process indirectly through that business with my parents. I got to watch them run that business. My mom did the office side of things. My dad was out there, 2 out of 3 days when he wasn't at the fire department, actually doing the inspections, the treatments, the repairs, whatever is needed. And so, I've always loved to work, man. So I'd be out there, probably breaking laws for child labor, but I'd be out there with my dad at, 6, 7 years old, crawling under houses just because I thought it was, kind of cool.
You find some wild things in crawl spaces.
Yeah. I don't miss it.
Do you know, I'm sure you know Crawl Space Medic.
Oh, yeah.
So I like following their social media. You find they post some interesting things they find down there.
Yeah, my dad had some really fun stories, most of them to do with snakes. And crawl. Yeah, I had a couple of encounters, and I was never scared of snakes as a kid, but man, there's something about being face to face one when you're on your belly and not much room to move.
You're definitely disadvantaged.
You figure out how quick you can move. So anyway, so that along with math and numbers has always been my thing. I've always done the best in school with that. I probably should have done something with finance or numerically with my degree, but coming out of college, I was working with my uncle, who he owns a paintless dent repair company in the upstate. So he fixes dents in vehicles. Like, he was a kind of a pioneer in the United States. He learned in Germany, brought the business kind of over here, and incredibly successful. Owns his.
I should bring him on the show.
Oh, dude, he has his own podcast.
Oh,
actually. Yeah, he does his own thing. But yeah, no, he's great, man. He does he's invented his own tools for the industry. Like, he sells, like, he has his dent business, and he has like his tool business that he like sells these specialty hammers and these specialty dent tools. Like, he's great. So between him and my dad and my mom, I learned business. I learned more from them than I ever could
from school,
sitting in a classroom.
Yeah.
By any means. Not to knock on college by any means, but man, I wasted money personally. I was there, like I said, I went to school for baseball. That was my main focus. So, whenever I got out of college, I was working with him with that business and kind of help, running the shop and helping out with just day-to-day activities. And that's kind of what I did in the summers between colleges. And once I graduated, I had a family member that kind of worked like HR at the time for a mortgage company. And I went to her birthday party It's actually in Taylor's, the 13 Stripes. No, not 13. That's the name of the beer. What's it called?
Well, there is a 13 Stripes brewery.
That's what it is. Okay, I was thinking Red Stripe. That's the beer. That's the Jamaica.
Yeah.
So it was at 13 Stripes for her birthday party. I ran into her boss, kind of connected with them, and basically, started telling me about what they did. And honestly, they told me I could make some good money, and I was in a position to be able to say, I'm 22 years old. Like, what do I have to lose? So I kind of ran after it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a couple of years. I'm gonna go as hard as I can at it, and if it doesn't work out, I'll still be young enough to pivot, figure out what I want to do. But like I said, dude, I couldn't spell mortgage at the time. I mean, there's a T in there, so I gave it a shot. Again, it kind of played into my background of kind of knowing agents and home buying, a general understanding of it, and then it played into the numbers aspect. I love numbers and messing with them. So that's kind of what led me to where I am today. And I got connected with some wonderful people with the company that I'm at now, and it's been a blessing in my life. And there's been some hard times, but there have been some really good times, and I really enjoy what I do and helping people out with this stuff, man. Because like I said, it became a passion to kind of educate on this stuff, because I was in the dark, and I would have been in the dark, if I wouldn't have gotten into this business.
Yeah, well, I mean, most people are in the dark on most things, because it's just there's so much in life.
Yeah.
And people are consumed with either being a parent, being a husband, running your life, going to church if you go, or being passionate about a few hobbies that you have. Like I've learned that just ignorance is the default position for 99% of subjects.
Sure.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. So to run into people who are, specialists in their field is always good to help bring you along the way.
It's good to know people, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. It's good to know people. So you wind up just kind of, like most people, winding up doing something totally unrelated to why they went to school.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, you're not beating up on college, and I understand, but I think there's just kind of this revolutionary moment in our country, and has been brewing for a while, that college is not. So it's not what it used to be.
No.
Certainly not. And there's a lot of debt involved. It doesn't make any sense. Like you said, we'll give kids, we'll give them, $300,000 worth of student loans to go to school, but you wouldn't give them a loan for $30,000 to go buy a car.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
So, and that's a whole nother subject.
Right.
But anyway, your beard is great. So since this is the personal section,
I would say I'm a silver medalist right now.
Well, look, I don't judge beards by size. We'll put it that way. I understand. I have a beard that's probably larger than 90%.
Listen, I told you this before, man, but I'm humbled in your presence with my beard. I get compliments on my beard. Like, oh my gosh, it's a nice beard and everything. And then I see like your beard and some other guys that just like it's on another level, man. So yeah, I'm working towards it.
But Keith has another good beard.
Yeah, Keith does have a good beard.
He has a good beard. And we're just kind of like the bearded, bros running around. But see, but I don't judge a guy's beard by his size. I judge it just yours. Number one, you're young enough to still have all the color.
Yeah,
that's great. I don't have that.
Now.
I don't have that. Maybe it exudes a little bit of wisdom. I don't know. Maybe it exudes power. I don't know. But it's nice and full.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's not like there's guys, and again, it's not even a knock on you as a person, because you have literally zero control.
Right.
It's all genetics.
Yeah.
And no matter, look, I'm just telling you, if you're listening and you want to grow a beard or you have a beard, there is no amount of beard balm or oil, or like, you can either grow it or you can't.
Yeah.
End of the story.
You're right.
and that's all from your daddy.
Yep.
Yep. So you've been blessed with follicle greatness. Because it's seriously, it's rich, it's thick, and you take care of it. It's shaped well.
Well, to be fair, I'd be lying if I didn't say I knew coming over on this podcast. I was like, look, I spent a little extra time on my beard this point. I was like, I gotta make sure this thing looks good. Chris is gonna look at my beard and judge me if it's not good.
So what's what kind of routine do you do with that thing?
See, man, it's nothing crazy. It's nothing crazy, but
but it's not. It's like it is not. There's a little bit of length to it, so it's not close cropped where you don't have to do anything. Right. You have a little bit of maintenance there.
Yeah, and I'd say a little bit's fair. So my biggest thing, if I comb it out, it's fine. It kind of curls.
Yeah, I see it
on the sides here, and that's such a pet peeve of mine because I like for it to be straight and uniform. But once I get to about this length,
well, the weather today does not help.
No.
The high humidity will wreck it.
No. Once I get to this length or longer, it kind of starts to curl out more. And I haven't figured out how to get past that.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, please.
Well, number one.
Enlighten me.
Okay, yeah. Here we are, the beard guru. Number one, if you're going to get past that, you probably, well, let me ask you this. Do you have intentions to grow it more than that? Or are you just happy there?
If I can keep it straight, I am. But if it goes beyond this, it curls out a lot, and I just don't like the way that it looks at that point. So that's why I keep it either this length or a little bit shorter. Like my brother, he has a really good beard too. Like his is very identical to mine, except he has a lot more gray than me. And
did you hear that, bro? He leaned into the microphone for that.
So, but his is like bone straight, looks great, So like my beard's longer than his, but his is straighter, so it appears longer than my beard. So I don't know. The curls always discourage me if I'm being
understandable. So if you want to straighten it, because I get that question a lot because my beard is so straight.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, does it just grow that way? No, it does not. You got to use a blow dryer, man.
So I just recently started using one.
Okay.
And it has made a huge difference.
Yes.
Don't know if I'm doing it correctly, but what I do is, after I got a shower and everything, I have, it's like leave-in conditioner.
Okay.
And it's for like beard and hair. I just use it for my beard, but it like keeps it soft, keeps it, conditioned, but it's also has a little bit of hold, like just a small amount of hold. And while that's fresh in there, I take a comb and I blow dry it kind of into the shape that it is.
That's it.
So maybe I just need
that's the key.
Continue
consistency. If it is, I mean, I've been with a blow dryer and a hairbrush, but it's a small round brush. So like I'll comb through, but I can roll it and pull. You know what I mean?
See, I don't know if mine's long enough to, I guess it is. But.
Well, but you got to let it grow and it'll just get longer. But yeah, it's the blow dryer in conjunction with that small round brush, and I can roll it and just pull the hair straight while I apply the heat.
Okay, a round brush.
Yeah.
I'm just using a comb.
Yeah, a small round brush.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you can, like I said, you can roll it and twist it in your fingers while you're coming down and help pull that hair straight. And another thing that I do, and this is just about hair care, it's not about shape. There's regular shampoo and conditioner that I use to go in the beard, but heat makes hair brittle.
Yeah.
So I will a couple of times a week, not every time I use the blow dryer, but probably 3 to 4 times a week. Before I blow dry, I will put in like a hair damage repair in.
Really?
Yeah, just because I don't want my hair to be brittle, and it needs that moisture. And
is it beard specific or is it just for hair? Okay.
It's not beard specific. No, there might be something out there, but my wife was like, here, use this.
Yeah.
And so I'll put it in after I get out of the shower. I'll dry my beard with a towel. Then I will put in the hair damage repair stuff. And it's thick. Okay. And it just, on the hands and then work it in.
Is it kind of like lotiony? Like,
yeah, ish.
All right.
Yeah. And then I'll roll it and then I'll do my blow dry routine. And then depending on what my day's like, or depending on when I shower, like if I shower in the evening, before bed, then I'll probably just use like a beard oil.
Okay.
Because I don't need it to hold. I don't need a shape. I'm just around the house. If I shower in the morning and I know I'm going to be out, then I'll use a beard product that has more like a balm or a butter, something a little heavier.
Do you have a brand that you're like keen on?
Not really. I try all kinds of stuff. I should probably reach out to some beard product companies and let them be like, hey man, why don't you let me rep your stuff?
I definitely would.
I just never have.
Just send a selfie. Be like, hey.
I will. I'll take some selfies. I need to go on Instagram, send some DMs, be like, hey, you want me to rep your product?
I think people will do that.
Probably.
I would if I had a beard oil company or balm.
Yeah. You should do it. Dobbins Beard Balm.
Yeah, there we go.
Dobbins. Yeah, that sounds good.
Anti-curl.
Just a dob will do
formula. Just a dob. That's awesome.
I like it. Yeah. So, but your beard's great. You got a good beard game. So, like, when did you have beard in college, or when did you come into the full beard? Like, I'm going for this.
Yeah. So, I started off college at the Citadel Military College.
Oh, okay.
So I was shaving twice a day. Like, just never could have a speck of hair on without consequence for the most part. So after I got out of school, I was like, you know what? I'm not shaving again. Like I'm just gonna, because in high school, baby faced, like through college, pretty much baby faced.
But by looking at you, it looks like you could grow something in high school.
No, dude, I was like, I think I graduated high school at like 155 pounds. Like I was string bean, like just
really.
Yeah.
Well, see, when I go pick up my son from high school in Walhalla, I see this kid out there. He's got a full grown beard, which I could have done in high school. But I grew up in the time where facial hair in high school was not allowed.
Yeah.
And I hadn't shaved for a few days for graduation because I'm like, I'm going to grow a beard. I'm going to grow a goatee whenever I get out of school. And I don't know if it was the principal, but it was probably some coach or he's like, if you don't shave before graduation, you're not going to get your diploma.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, oh, all right. Gee. But that's in the late 90s, and that stuff didn't fly.
Yeah. So I started with a goatee, and man, it looked terrible. It was really bad. But I was like, you know what? I can grow a goatee. Like I've been clean shaven my whole life. And then it kind of slowly, I was like, I'm just gonna let it go. And then I had a small beard. And then once I got out of college, it's like the switch flipped. I was like, I'm gonna put some effort into this.
Yeah.
And then I haven't really, I think I clean shaved. The last time I clean shaved was probably 2018. Maybe
How much beard did you have when you did that?
Not a lot. Not even close to this. It was just like enough to be called a beard.
Okay. I had this. It's been a long time. I don't even remember the last time I've been like clean shaven versus just having like kind of short beard. You know what I mean? Like really, really cropped, like a number 2 on a trimmer. But I remember years ago, I had something similar to this, and then I just kind of cleaned it up and went really close cropped. And as soon as I did it, dude, I felt so emasculated.
I know. It's terrible.
I just felt like I've
never had more regret than the last time I clean shaved. I was like, what have I done?
Isn't it crazy?
It's terrible. It's terrible. And it was funny, man. I joke with my wife all the time now. I'm like, hey, I'm getting tired of this. I'm going to shave it. She's don't you dare.
Really?
No, she will not.
No, my wife would not let me clean shave. And my wife really at this point, she's like, your beard's getting a little long. You need to kind of trim it up.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Be careful. She listens.
She listens to a few.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no chances.
I'm not going to take any chances. I'll probably.
You've already gotten her on the garage, so let's don't.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. But if you have as a man, I don't know, it's a psychological thing. Like once you have a beard and like a legit, especially if you have one that's strong, and you take it off, you feel like a eunuch.
Yeah, you really, yes,
you really do. It's weird, man. And so I don't think I could ever go. I would struggle going to where you're at.
Yeah.
You know, and my kids would be very upset.
Oh yeah.
Especially my 12-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
She would be unhappy.
She's probably never seen you without a.
No, she doesn't know me really any other way.
Yeah.
You know,
it's crazy.
So
how it becomes part of your identity.
It does. And you know what? Honestly, it works with my cigar persona.
Oh yeah.
You know, I've just had people tell me that's like, you just look like the cigar guy.
Yeah.
That's what you look like. It's part of who I am now.
Yeah. That's another reason I think I started growing mine out. It's because, again, I got out, into mortgage lending straight out of college, baby face. So I'm sitting there at 22 years old trying to convince people to send me business.
Right.
Like I'm 12 years old. Like, hey, yeah, I can handle your $500,000 loan for you, no problem. But I feel like the beer gives it a little bit more like, oh, this guy's, he's not 10 years old. Like,
right. Yeah, I would probably lose like 10 years if I just
absolutely
it off. Yeah.
Everybody thinks I'm older than I actually am,
Mm-hmm.
Which maybe down the road is not the best.
How old are you?
I'm 29.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I know, right?
Just a kid.
I'll be,
and I'm at that age where I say to 29-year-olds are just kids. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. Yeah, no, I'll be 30 in August, but I always get, what are you, like 33, 34? I'm like, no. So it adds a couple of years, but
yeah,
not the worst thing in this industry,
Yeah, 100%. It sounds to me, just with some of the things that you shared with me before the show, that faith is pretty important to you, or maybe pretty is not even a heavy word, is very important to you. And what is your faith, and is that something that you came to on your own, or is it something that you handed to you by your parents?
Yeah, no, I am a proud believer and follower of Jesus Christ, man. I am very blessed in my life, and I give all glory to Him for everything that I am and doing and will do. I thankfully grew up in a household that went to church. And primarily my mother has been the biggest I guess influence. My dad was too. He definitely he was definitely on that, but my mom, that's really been a really big deal for me, because again, my dad, he passed away when I was 17 years old, so like,
oh god,
he had gotten me there.
That sucks, dude.
Yeah,
sorry to hear that.
No, it's all good. And my mom, through my adult life and everything, has also been there kind of as an influence. And, I've not been perfect. I'm still not perfect by
nobody is.
In any aspect of the means. I still struggle every day, to be honest with you. But she's always been a, good grounding influence in my life, keeping me in church and keeping me from going too far astray sometimes, as we do. So that was, I give her a lot of credit. Married a good Christian woman. Emma is well beyond anything I deserve as a person, and, as a wife and the mother of EJ. So, having that support system and that influence in my life has been, instrumental in, who I am, and more importantly, who I'm becoming. I'm trying to, like everybody else, get a little bit better with these things, each and every day.
Yeah. I also am a Christian. My listeners have heard me say it many times. I'm unashamedly so. I became a Christian December 19th, 1999. I'll never forget the day I was 20 years old.
Nice.
And that is the day that I became a believer. And, you made the statement that you're not perfect. And of course, nobody is, but there's that verse in, one of the verses I like is, Philippians 1:6, which says, being confident of this thing, or this very thing, that how does it go? Yeah, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Christ Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of people that aren't Christians who they view Christianity as a probably like most religions, though. It's a set of rules, right?
Yeah.
If I become a Christian, well, I have to stop doing this, and I have to stop doing this, then I have to start doing this, and I have to start doing this. And of course, yeah, read your New Testament. There's a lot of there's a lot of things in there that we should do and things that we should not do. But I would be willing to bet for most people, it's stuff you're already doing or not doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not. John says for the that this is the love of God, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous.
Right.
His commandments aren't hard. They're not burdensome or weighty. Christianity on its face is a belief system, right? I believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. I believe that He is God incarnate, died for our sins, rose again, that there are no other gods besides Him. However, the outflow of that, when it comes to Christianity, is a lifestyle of it's a mentality and then an outflow of action. You know what I mean? So I want to be careful about what I think and how I behave. It's like, what am I thinking about? What's coming out of my mouth, and how am I treating other people?
Right.
It's not, it's not super difficult, but it is a life of introspection. And then, the I guess if there was any such thing as the hard part, that would be like me controlling my desires versus letting my desires control me. And in the hard and fast things, like Christianity is really borne out in, how am I loving my wife?
Yeah.
How am I treating my children? You know what I mean? And just as a decent person, yeah, guess what? You shouldn't be going out getting hammered every single weekend.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's bigger than that, and most people I don't think are.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely. And I think my the biggest, I guess, turning point for me was, and like it's kind of silly to say, but like truly finding out, it's not just a set of rules like you're talking about, as much as it is pursuing the relationship with Jesus Christ, and developing that so that, your views, your words, your mind is in a line with His and what it was when He walked this earth. That helped me get a better generalized understanding, instead of going, okay, well, this book says I have rules, I need to follow them. My mom tells me I need to follow them. This is supposedly the right thing to do. But whenever you start pursuing, the relationship, that's what really made the difference for me, and looking for ways to strengthen that relationship by reading the Word. I had the biggest struggle reading the Word, like growing up, and again, not perfect. I still struggle sometimes.
Yeah,
I still struggle with having purpose when reading. Like I need to have a game plan. Like I have really bad ADHD. I was diagnosed like in 3rd grade. So for me to sit down and read something on paper, I have to be really invested into it. Otherwise, I'll start thinking about 17 other different things and be off track.
Yeah.
So figuring out ways to look for answers properly in the Word has helped me kind of just establish where I stand and where I should stand, which was a big question mark for me for a long time.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think what you were saying, like ways to strengthen your relationship with the Lord, and talking about reading the Word, I think there's not like, as a Christian, should you read the Bible? Sure, absolutely. Should you pray? Yes, those are important things, but those are only parts of a whole. We can get in this mindset that, man, I'm not faithful to God. I'm a lousy Christian because I haven't really been praying and I've been struggling to read the Bible or go to church. And look, you should certainly take spiritual and personal inventory on those things. However, like if you're a Christian and you understand some of the New Testament, and you look at like the Pharisees or the Sadducees, the religious leaders of the day, guess what they did? They went to synagogue when they were supposed to. They read the scriptures. They spent a lot of time praying. They did all the things right on the outside, but they were terrible people.
Yep.
So it's like there's a balance there. It's not perfunctory. It's not simply performance. It is a heart matter.
Yeah.
And like I said, that doesn't mean you should not care at all about reading the scriptures or prayer or church. To put it in perspective, Jesus said to the Pharisees, he said, you tithe of all your possessions. You tithe even your mint, anise, and cumin, all of your herbs. You even tithe these simple things, but you have omitted the weightier matters of the law, like faith, love, and mercy.
Yep.
So it's like there are more important things here that you're not paying attention to, but you'll do these little things. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do these little things, but these are only small parts of a much bigger picture.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the way you said the heart matter. That's the truth. You got people that pay tithes every Sunday, but they're not doing what they're supposed to do outside of church.
Yeah.
And supposed to do. Probably shouldn't phrase it that way, but it's definitely a good way to put it.
Well, I don't think you're amiss by saying supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, because there are certain things that God does want us to do. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that he does not want us to do. I had a guy that I interviewed on a podcast a few months ago, and he said, I want to ask you a question off air, since you said you were a pastor or had been. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. We can do that. And he was talking about how he just really wanted to reconnect with God and his relationship with Jesus Christ, and what did I recommend? And I recommended, and I just said, look, your relationship with God is pretty much the same as the relationship you have with your wife. If you want to have a good relationship with your wife, well, guess what? You got to spend time with her.
Gotta put in work.
Yeah, you got to put in the work. So you need to spend time in the scripture. You need to spend time in prayer. You need to go to church. And those things are all important, but they're just pieces. It's a relationship. So if you don't put in the work for the relationship, one's really not there. And then I followed it up with a quote from a pastor I used to know, because you hear the people say all the time, well, you don't have to go to church to be a Christian. That's true, because being a Christian is a belief. But he did say this. This pastor said in response to that you don't have to go to church to be a Christian. He said, yeah, well, you don't have to go home to be married, but it probably helps the relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a great way to put it, for sure. Do you go to a church around here locally?
I have been looking for a church for a very, very long time.
Really?
I've visited a whole bunch of them. And sometimes I get in my own way. Like I just mentioned, I was a pastor for 12 years.
What denomination? Where?
I was an independent Baptist.
Okay.
But I'm open to. I'm looking for a church first and foremost where the whoever's delivering the scripture, whether that's the pastor or whether they have a team or whatever it is, and I have my views on that, but I need, for my personal soul, I need a serious handling of the word.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to really exegete the scriptures for me. I'm not there to listen to you tell a bunch of funny stories.
Right.
You know what I mean? That is my primary focus, because I go to church for a couple of reasons. Number one, I go there to be instructed in righteousness, and that comes from the scripture. I go there to exercise my spiritual gifts. And then I go there for corporate worship. That's what the church is there for.
Yeah.
So, this is me not being perfect.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to go to a church and be overly critical instead of having the right attitude going and saying, all right, what can I take away from today's service that's going to help me?
Yeah.
And so I have to fight with myself about that. I'm working on it and trying to get better at it. Whenever you're a pastor for 12 years and you've been delivering 12 years worth of 3 sermons a week, you're looking for a very particular.
Understood.
So, I mean, and I liken that to anybody. It's a natural thing to be critical of whoever else is in your profession. Like, if somebody came to your office and said, "Hey, I just did a home loan for John Doe. Look over this." And be like, "Well, why'd you do this? And why'd you do this?"
Right.
That's because it's what you do.
Yeah.
But the Word of God is something that's supernatural, and you don't want to be too critical instead of being sensitive to the Holy Spirit, saying, "Okay, speak to me. What can I take away from this?" Versus me saying, "Well, this guy's outline was garbage, and he didn't really pay attention to what this says, and he's way off. He's out of context." And it's just like, dude, can you just get out of your own way and stop quenching the Holy Spirit and let God speak to you?
Yeah. You're preaching right now, man.
I'm preaching to myself, and where do you go?
I go to, it's Faith Renewed, and it's in Malden. It's like on the border of Malden and Simpsonville. It's like 10 minutes from my house. But Pastor Terry Rogers, I've known him my whole life. We actually just recently, in the past year or so, started going to that church. We were at another church in Greer. This one just happened to be a little bit closer, and people we knew, my mom and stepdad, and now my brother, they all go there. So it's just kind of family oriented. It is technically non-denominational, but if I had to put a label on there, and sorry, Pastor Terry, if I'm misrepresenting this,
He
but
probably won't listen to the podcast.
I would say it's probably closer to like Church of God. And he's great. Like, we've been going through the book of Acts for the past
Great book.
year. I mean, like, he's going chapter by chapter and like just preaching on it, man. It's so like, it's great because you can preach on a section of a book and hit most of the points and get the general message across, but man, he lays it out there. Now, he does mix in his stories and everything too, but
Sure.
but he does a very, very good job of I feel like ushering in the Holy Spirit with the way that he brings it, and it's a very I feel the Spirit there, you know what I mean, especially like during worship and everything. It's a place that you get cold chills just from being there.
Sure.
And I know you understand that, but yeah, Faith Renewed, great church. Feel free to come sometime if you'd like.
Sure.
Man, I'll save you a seat.
Yeah, I'll sit next to you. I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I've been searching, and look, don't get me wrong. There is certainly a time for a good place for sermon illustrations, right? If you're going to tell a story to illustrate this point, I get it, but sometimes it can just be too much. You're like doing too more of that instead of giving me the scripture.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And people have told me, well, Jesus used stories and illustrations, and that's fair. But on the other side of that, my retort to that is, well, he was also the Son of God.
Right.
He's God incarnate. He is the master storyteller.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what to say. He knows who he's talking to. He knows all the cultural significances. Like, he tells the perfect stories for the occasion. Do you do that? And so, and then I got to where I would use sermon illustrations because they're helpful. However, in the later years of pastoring, what I got into was, instead of taking a random story from the world or whatever, great story you could find, I found for me, I believe that it was much more effective if I could use another Bible story or another Bible passage to illustrate.
Yeah.
Because, it is my contention, and yours too, if you're a Christian, that the Bible is the Word of God, right? And the Bible is Hebrews 4:12, the Word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, right? So the power of preaching is not really in what I say. That obviously there are people that are gifted speakers, right? But the power is in the Word of God, not in what I'm saying. It's in the Word. So if I use the Word properly, and if I can illustrate with the Word versus this story, I just feel like it's better all the way around.
Yeah.
But that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. No,
So
I think it's perfectly said.
yeah. So, man, I could go on talking about Christianity and scripture for a long time, but this is about Kevin Dobbins.
I don't mind highlighting that for sure, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But so another thing that goes great for a lot of men, but another great compliment for beards is bourbon. Beards and bourbon. You're a bourbon guy.
Yeah.
How deep are you in the hole, in the rabbit hole of bourbon?
I mean, probably not too far. I appreciate the taste, of different flavor profiles. I don't necessarily have like a collection or anything like that by any means.
Just a few bottles at home, and
honestly, I don't keep any bottles at home, man.
You just go drink other people's bourbon.
No, yeah, exactly. No, I'll go to like I was telling you with Trey, we go to the warehouse at Vaughn's.
Yeah, shout out to Trey Ingram.
Yeah, Trey Ingram, he's the man.
He's 2 hours and 44 minutes.
Yeah. There's a bourbon and like burgers place in that food hall.
Bourbon and burgers.
Yeah.
What's that called?
It's it used to be called Bourbon Street Burgers. Now it's called Bourbons and Barrels. They just switched the name because they had new ownership. But they have a really good selection. So that's really where it came from, was just, hey, I want to try that. Hey, I want to try that. Nothing too crazy. Just getting an appreciation for different flavor profiles. Like, one of my favorites is it's not even really a expensive one, if you will. It's a newer one. It's Travelers. Have you had Travelers yet?
Yeah, that's the Chris Stapleton one, right?
Yeah,
I've had
Chris
that.
Stapleton and Buffalo Trace got together and did their thing. It's got like it's like really vanilla heavy notes on it, but that one's a good one. Very
I picked up a bottle of that at Costco a while back, and I'd probably be on the opposite end of the spectrum. For me personally, it was just okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, when it comes to consumables, it's all subjective to the consumer.
Oh yeah. But yes, I mean, I've had the expensive stuff. I like trying things. I'm not.
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing when it comes to coffee, beer, wine, cigars, or whatever. It's like there are so many out there, and that's the fun part of the game. You want to try as much as you can and see what you really, really like.
Right.
And it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, I guess it goes back to the cigars and oysters, just having an appreciation for the differences.
Well, I didn't know if you were. Yeah, I didn't know if you were like down the bourbon hole like your brother is on the oyster hole.
No, I wouldn't say I'm a connoisseur by any means.
You're just a consumer.
Yeah.
And I find, like, for me personally, let's say that bottle of Penelope that you had earlier, I bought that, usually that is outside of my price range.
Right.
That was like $70. I don't normally spend that. I find and for all you bourbon listeners out there, don't judge me. This is Planet Fitness. This is no judgment zone.
Yeah.
But I'm usually like $30 to $50.
Yeah.
That's and partly that's just for strictly budgetary reasons.
I mean, from what I've found, once you go beyond that price point, is it really worth that extra?
Yeah, I mean, there's some bottles of like
is there an expensive one that you're like, no, that one is worth the money,
right?
Like I personally haven't.
Yeah, there's
that encounter.
There's some stuff I want to try. I don't think it might be called Kentucky Owl, I think, I think it is, but they're like $300 a bottle.
Yeah,
and I'd love to try it, but I'm like, I just can't justify that.
I feel like you're going to
now.
be disappointed.
I need to sell like 6 houses in a month to maybe swing that.
I can't justify. Like, there's no way that's going to taste like it's like I feel like.
What does $300 taste like?
Right.
I mean, you can throw down $40 for a 750 ml bottle of bourbon, and if it's just okay, you really haven't hurt yourself. It's just okay. It's $40 and it's not bad. I can drink it, or at the miss, if it's bad enough, you're like, I can always use it as a mixer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to use a $300 bottle for a mixer, but I want it to taste like $300.
Better taste great, neat.
Right?
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. Like, it's kind of like steaks. Like, I enjoy steaks, man, and I'll pay good money for a steak.
Where do you go get your steaks?
I go to it's in Simpsonville, Begley's Butcher Shop.
Yeah.
Jesse over there does a great job. Really, really good meat selection, and I've never had a bad cut coming from there. If I'm getting steaks, that's where I'm getting it from. And honestly, I mean, they have like hot dogs and chicken, and they like have different I mean, you know, it's a good local butcher shop. Like, he's lined up right next door almost to a New York butcher shop, and I'm pretty sure he wears them out.
Well, yeah. Well, New York butcher shop, that's a chain.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a chain, and that's fine. But it's not like a custom high-end butcher shop.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You can go into New York Butcher, and they're going to have certain cuts, and they might even do a few things for you, but probably at Begley's, you know, I used to work at Revival Butchery in
Revival's a good one.
In the West Village. You can get anything you want there. You want a Florentine cut? Done.
Boom.
You want Korean style ribs? Done. You want, like, they are a high end. You want to order a suckling pig and have them, you know, break it down for you and give you 2 halves or whatever? Done.
Yep.
Yeah. You're not going to get that at New York.
Again, local versus,
yep,
you know, big box. I mean, Jesse, he's even, I'm like, man, like, I'm struggling with like finding the right seasoning for a steak. He's like, I'll be right back. He like mixed all this stuff up together, gave me the ingredients for it, and gave me a little sample of it to use. And like he'll like, I love cooking tomahawks.
Is that your steak of choice?
I love it. I mean, ribeyes obviously steak of choice, but like having
tomahawk is a ribeye.
right. But having the actual tomahawk and, you know, the process of cooking that's fun.
I've done a tomahawk, and they're cool, but I feel like just the tomahawk is for social media.
Yeah. I mean,
it really is.
That's fair. It's definitely a trendy steak, right?
It's a fat ribeye is what it is, but you're paying for all the bone weight. I mean, and it might be worth it if you've got a big dog at the house, because at the end, what are you going to do with that bone?
Yeah,
you're going to saw it off and throw it in the garbage,
right?
Or but ribeye, king of steaks.
Oh yeah.
That's my choice. Although, and of course, the best part of the ribeye is that decal around the top that's well marbled. Yes. You know what I mean? Have you ever done a? I mean, the picanhas are good. If you know what that is. Yep. Yeah, that's a great. I
personally haven't, but yeah, I was talking about.
You should get one. You know, I like to get them, and then over a hot fire, I'll grill them fat side down for about 12 minutes or so. Get that fat nice and crispy.
Okay.
And then flip it over. Maybe kind of move it in direct heat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you cook on a grill?
Wood fire.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I have an offset smoker out there that I will use for smoking.
But I want to get into smoking. That's one thing I have not ventured into.
But the firebox on that is big enough, and the firebox comes with a grate. So, and you can slide it in and out, so you could build a fire and then put the grate in and grill.
Okay, cool.
So I can grill or I can smoke.
Nice.
Yeah.
That works out
well.
Yeah,
get into smoking.
I'll tell you what I've been doing. I got a Blackstone a couple of years ago. Dude, I love that.
I have one of those out there too.
I love that thing. I mean, I use it at least twice a week.
I made smash burgers Friday night.
Smash burgers, hibachi.
The sky's the limit on the.
Make some killer steaks on there.
I mean, like smash burgers, hibachi, stir fry.
Yeah.
Hibachi.
Yeah.
Ish. Breakfast.
Yep.
You can do all kinds of great stuff on the flat top.
Yeah. I've had a really fun time learning about that, and I've probably watched hours and hours of YouTube videos of, all right, how do I what's the best way to cook this or do that? Yeah, it's pretty sweet. But yeah, smoking would be the next thing I probably spend my money on, try to figure out.
There's 2 schools, and there is the offset smoker. You're going to use oak or maybe the fruit woods or hickory. You're going to build maybe you can do a combination of charcoal and wood, or you can just straight up build a fire and build a bed of coals and keep it going that way.
And you got the pellets, right?
Or you got a pellet smoker. Yeah. Or pellet isn't the only option, but I'll just divide them into offset and then electric. Yeah. Because you can do pellets, or you can do a smoker where they have like a heating element down there and you'll put your wood in it and it'll just smoke.
Yep. And I feel like whichever one you have, you swear by it. Like, I feel like it's a very firm line. Like, people, they're like, no, pellet is the way to go.
Pellet's not the way to go.
Yeah. So, see, exactly. So you have an offset. So you're on the other side.
I've done both. I've had both.
All right.
I've had both. In my humble opinion, the offset smoker with legit wood, it produces better flavor. A guy in your situation who has a 3-year-old running around, who has more children on the way, I'm sure. If you're going to do a smoking session for a large cut of meat on an offset smoker, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do with little ones because it's fire management and temperature management. So you've got to kind of baby it and you've got to pay attention. Yeah. That's hard to do.
I think I'd mess that up. Like, I would try, but
it takes practice. So with an electric smoker, do you set your temperature, you set your time, you walk away. You know, it's basically, I mean, they all basically are, but it's an oven. And you set the temperature and time and you walk away and you let it do its thing. And it's fine. I'm not knocking the guys that have that or that use that because it certainly has its usages. I like the artistry.
Yeah.
And the finesse of like a live fire and the wood and the smoke and
something manly with the beard that
100%
kind of plays into that, you know?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And of course it is all hearkening back to history. I mean, an electric wood smoker is a relatively new invention.
Yeah.
Pardon me. But anyway, another topic, we'll get close to wrapping it up here, but I know that you are, and this is awesome, I think, heavily goal-oriented and driven.
Yeah.
For personal life and business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always, again, kind of playing back to what I was talking about, ADHD, right? So got diagnosed with that when I was in 3rd grade, and for the longest time, I feel like it limited me and prohibited me from reaching my full potential. And then it's like a switch flipped that I was like, I can use this to my advantage. I just have to have a plan, because I can get done in a day what I feel like most people maybe not get done in like a day and a half, 2 days. Like if I'm
dialed in,
dude, I will work circles around people, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I work hard, and the way that I have gotten into the routine, and listen, again, not perfect, still a work in progress on all of this, but talking about AI. So actually a big stepping stone for me was I'm in like an internal coaching group within my company, some really great guys out in the Midwest. We get on a Zoom call once a month, talk about what's working, what's not working, all this stuff, just kind of, just chatting about different markets, whatever. And, ChatGPT came up, and I'm like, dude, I've never even done anything with it. Like, don't really know much about it. And they were talking about how it kind of helps them with their goals and all this stuff. So I started messing around with it, and I eventually basically put ChatGPT. This is a life hack. If you're listening, this is a life hack. Like, this will change my life. I plugged in basically, hey, here's my daily routine, ChatGPT. Here's what I do. Here's when I wake up. Here's what I do when I wake up. I mean, I gave it as much detail as I possibly could. Here's my Monday through Friday. Okay. And I said, help me to identify any blind spots of productivity that I could be taking advantage of. Here are a list of items that I want to add into my daily routine. For instance, spending time with the Lord. If I got super busy, man, unfortunately and terribly, that was one of the first things that would go through in my day. Like, I'd be like, oh man, I don't have time to go spend 30 minutes reading the Bible and praying. And it shouldn't be that, So I said, here are my non-negotiables. I want to spend 30 to 45 minutes with the Lord every single morning. Put that in there. Whatever you got to do. I don't care how early I have to get up. Just tell me what I need to do. And I say, between 7 and 7:30, that's when I'm helping my wife get my son out the door and go to daycare. Like, I don't want to be doing anything during that time. That's my morning little mini family time, helping them out and getting them out the door. At 4:15, I got to be picking up EJ from daycare. From these hours, unless work is necessary, this is blocked off. This is my family time. This is what I'm doing. If I need to work a little bit after that, that's fine. After he goes to bed, if needed. But I plugged all of these things into it, and I put my goals in mind. Like, hey, I want to do, $25-30 million of volume this year. Help me to come up with this. And, I kind of gave it a weekly schedule of, hey, every Monday between 9 to 11, I'm on a time block for these phone calls to realtors, scheduling appointments for lunch, podcasts, coffees, networking, things like that. Every Tuesday, I'm calling this group of people, whatever, and plug that in. And dude, it generated, hour by hour, minute by minute. Here's what you need to be doing. I got it to write my workouts for me, man. Like, yeah. I plugged it in for my workouts, and it helped me to, because I'm a routine driven like machine if I get into it. And so I created that, and that's really been a cornerstone for me in like hammering it home. Like, okay, like I get up at X amount, spend time with the Lord. Boom. Okay, now I have 15 minutes before EJ gets up for me to just clean out my inbox real quick for anything that came in overnight that I just want to get out of the way. He gets up, I spend 30 minutes with them, get him out the door, all that fun stuff. Then I have another work block hour. Here's what I'm doing, any pre-approval numbers I need to run or anything like that that came over, later in the day yesterday or whatnot. And then, 9 to 11, time blocked, making your phone calls. So that's kind of where it comes from, is I was able to channel what used to limit me into, you give me a list, dude.
Yeah. But it all starts with goals.
Yeah.
And I think I haven't taken AI that far, but after listening to you say it, dude,
it'll change it.
I'm going to do that. Like, if you're a business owner, which you more or less are. You work for Homeside Financial, but it's like being a realtor. I work at this brokerage, but this book of business is mine.
Oh yeah, I'm fully commissioned. If I don't hunt, I don't
exactly.
eat.
Yeah, you eat what you kill. And that's the end of it. And even in the entrepreneurial side with my podcast and with my cigar business, I think people, if you're an entrepreneur or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're the boss. However, you need to let go of the idea of that you're the boss, and you make a schedule. And the schedule's the boss.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you put in the work that the schedule says, and the results will follow. You've heard this. I know you've heard it because we work in similar industries. We cannot control outcomes. We can only control activity.
Exactly. So if you're putting it in consistently, man, it's going to turn out.
It may take some time, but it will come.
But it's so easy if you don't have, for me, if I don't, like I have it on, I create a Word document every morning, put my schedule in there, but I'll plug in a chat GPT because, again, it knows my schedule, and I'll say, hey, here are, what I know is going to be 7 to 10, whatever action items that I need to happen today. Plug this into my daily schedule, and it'll tell me when to do what and how to do it. And, of course it's not perfect, but man, it gives me
it sets your direction.
Yeah, because it's so easy. And everybody's guilty of this. If you're not, you're lying. It's so easy to get to 2:30, 3 o'clock on a Friday.
Hit a wall.
Man, I'm exhausted. I feel like I got a lot done today. I'm going to cut off early. Totally fine. But then you start doing that on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
If you don't put that in place to abide by, like, it's okay to have those times. And that's one of the reasons I'm in this industry, is because if I get my work done at 3 o'clock, you better believe if I don't have anything else to do, I'm going to go pick up my son. We're going to go do something because I can. You know what I mean? So but having that discipline really helps me stay in line with that and not just venture off. And
yeah.
knockoff.
100%, dude. No, that's awesome. I'm gonna check into that because I have goals for this year and things I want to accomplish, and I have a plan on things. And by the way, don't make the mistake of thinking that you can keep it all organized in your head, because you can.
No.
You know, especially when I'm running 3 things: real estate, podcast, cigar business. I mean, there's just a lot of things to juggle, and I've got other things going on too. So you've inspired me.
Yeah, because I mean, I was a legal notepad guy for the longest time. Here's what I need to do today. Check, 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 check. And I would just go down the list and just do, and and then something would come up. I'd take a phone call. Okay, let me hop on that. Okay, now back to the list. Like, yeah, I got done what I needed to, and I built a business doing that, but man, it's so much more refined and efficient this way. So definitely, with all that you have going on, highly encourage that.
Will do, man. So kind of we're almost done here, but kind of harkening back to the question about how you got into mortgage lending, and you've been at 8 years now and you're totally killing it. Is it your plan to stay there in mortgage lending and just kind of work your way up, or do you have like bigger plans for something else in the future? Or
yeah, I mean, honestly, right now I have no plans of, leaving it. I think this is going to be it already is a career, but I'm going to continue to make it my career. But, I've grown into things related to finances and investing. So like, rental properties and, investing into, small businesses and upstarting businesses and things like that. And, ultimately investing is kind of where I do things outside of mortgages. So, no plans to leave, because I enjoy what I do, and it's a great career. I work with some really good people. If I ever, wake up one day and decide my heart's not in it, that'll be when I get out. But I don't foresee that, happen. And I think the growth that'll come from this will be, my other investments. Just real estate and businesses and things like that.
So you're not going to go back into poli-sci?
No, I don't think so.
What was the plan with that,
man?
What did you want to do?
Honestly, so I wanted to be a police officer when I was going into college. Like, my dad, he was a police officer before he was a firefighter. My brother was a police officer, and I was like, you know what, I kind of want to do that. And there really wasn't like a major that fit the bill. So that just happened to be something I went with. I wouldn't say that I quote unquote enjoy politics, but I enjoy like world economics and the way
that's all numbers based stuff.
Yeah, like what makes the world go round, right? And so, and then like halfway through college, I was like, nothing against cops by any means, because dude, I mean, they do not get paid enough. They don't get paid enough. And especially nowadays, it is hard to be a cop. I have a lot of friends that are cops, and God bless them, man. Like, and ultimately I just decided that I didn't want to go that route.
Yeah.
And so no other rhyme or reason, to be honest with you. Like I said, I was at school to play ball, man. That's where my head was at.
Yeah, I hear you.
As far as I was concerned, I was going to try to make it pro. You couldn't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
And then life has a funny way of
humbling
you, right?
Yeah. All right, man. Well, look, this has been super fun. I don't think I have any other questions for you. So we'll wrap it up here. Once again, if people listen to the podcast want to get pre-approved, not pre-qualified, pre-approved for a mortgage to buy a home, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like I said, try to make it as easy as possible. Phone is usually going to be the best way to get in touch with me the quickest. My number is 864-752-7237. Feel free to text me, call me. My email, I'm sure Chris will tag it somewhere for me, but it is kdobbins@homeside.com. And then, of course, social media. You can find me on Facebook just by searching, Kevin Dobbins Mortgage Lender, or my Instagram handle is, at Kevin Dobbins. So pretty easy to find.
Yeah, man. Awesome. And one thing I always ask everybody is just for a few interview recommendations, people you think that would be good for me to bring on the show.
Yeah. So I think my uncle will probably be a cool one. If he travels a lot with the dent business, and he he trains a lot of people across the country and everything. But
what's his podcast about?
It is called PDR College, so Paintless Dent Repair College. Okay. Him and a buddy of his in I think he still lives in California. They do a podcast together, and they kind of talk about. I mean, it's a big industry. Like, you don't really see it a lot, but it's a big.
So
industry.
His podcast is about his industry.
Yes,
gotcha.
Yes, okay. Industry, and they bring in life to it and stuff like that. But it's more about learning the business, like helping people get off the ground floor, how to chase hell. Like there's a living for paintless dent repair folks that they travel the country chasing hailstorms, make a killing doing it. And so, he's invested into that. And people pay him to come do like full on seminars on different stuff and everything. So yeah, he'd be super cool to have one. I was going to recommend Trey, of course, but
he's coming on.
He's coming on. Yeah. Trey's super good.
Yeah, he's
dude.
a great guy.
But yeah, no, I'll be thinking.
Okay.
And definitely will recommend anybody I can.
Good deal. All right. Well, if you are in need of my services as a realtor, or you want to plus up your next event with a cigar box, you can get me direct at 864-207-2316. You can also visit mobilecigarbbox.com to check me out and learn more about the business and fill out the booking inquiry form. If you'd like to set up a no-obligation consultation as a real estate professional, you can email me at cstrother@cdanjoyner.com. And you've been listening to Sunday Afternoon Smokes. I appreciate it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it on your socials. Share it with the world, because Sunday Afternoon Smokes is pretty sweet. Kevin, thanks for carving out, 3 hours now to sit down with me on a Monday. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. No, I really appreciate you having me. It was a great time, and look forward to being back in the future.
Yeah, man. Let's do it in the future. All right. We will be back with another episode very soon.